Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the TripleJump podcast. It's a video game podcast. My name is Ben.
My name is Peter.
My name is Ashton.
Good morning, gentlemen and women.
Morning.
Gentleman and woman.
Morning.
It is flipping freezing here.
So cold.
We're all wearing jumpers today, some more festive than others, Ashton.
I only have one Christmas jumper.
And where is it?
And it's in the wash because I wore it last week. And it's only me, and I don't have enough washing to justify putting a whole wash on just for a Christmas jumper.
So the only thing you...
Well, it's not the only thing.
is a
But
Christmas
also, I've
jumper.
just done my bed sheets, and they take literally days to dry because I don't have a dryer, and I don't have anywhere else to hang my jumper.
And it's cold everywhere.
And it's cold everywhere. So I don't have it with me. And also, I didn't know that this was the energy we were bringing into the podcast. I didn't know we all had to be wearing our Christmas jumpers for every video for the entirety of December.
It is actually
it's
in your contract. It's kind of
It
green.
is green. It's sort of
kind
Christmas tree coloured.
Yeah. You know
But I
what?
could decorate you throughout the podcast.
Well,
Just
beautiful.
There.
Look at that. Just a little bauble. Looking so festive, Ashton.
you
Thanks.
could put that on your head as well if you want.
I could,
Help
yeah.
you stay warm.
There you go.
Do you want it to
That'll
be a little rule, Ashton?
Thank you.
Brilliant.
Amazing.
Hey, look at that. We managed to sort it in the end.
I will balance it for the rest of the podcast.
So next week, you going to wear a Christmas jumper?
Yeah, I'll wash my Christmas jumper so that I can wear it. Oh, I'll borrow my boyfriend's because he's got
pressure.
like 3. So
Oh,
I'll
well,
borrow
ask
it.
him to bring them all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Steal some of his. That's
Yeah.
the whole point of having a boyfriend. Is
Exactly.
like borrowing clothes.
Yeah.
But speaking of baubles, actually, as we were just a second ago, it's time to talk about this week's sponsor. And this week's sponsor is rather boringly in that it's not some fantastical invented, obviously, product,
Yeah.
a totally real product, but it's TripleJumpShop.com is our sponsor. What?
What?
Is our sponsor this week? We have a brand new merch drop available now, level 4. It includes this fantastic hat that
Not my
Peter is
hat,
wearing
Peter's
there.
hat.
Not Ashton's hat. It's a beanie for those who can't see with the Triple Jump logo on it. We used to sell something similar on our old store, and similarly, there are a few other items that you'll have seen before. Isn't
Some
that right?
retro stuff.
Yeah, more logo-based items. T-shirts, hoodie, and that's it.
Yeah,
and a
2
mooch.
t-shirts,
And a-
hoodie, and a mooge, a mug.
Yeah.
Mug,
Which we've been long overdue having on the store, but we've got them back now.
But
And
that's not all.
that's not all. In very limited supplies, it is a Billy Ray Christmas bauble.
Yeah.
He's on one side, and on the other side, it's the Triple Jump logo with some festive lights around. It's a beautiful orange bauble. Brought it in here to hang on the tree. If there's enough space on our beautiful little Christmas tree we have on
Yeah,
the
I
desk
reckon
here.
there should be.
I can't actually
around the
separate
side.
the threads. What's wrong with me? There we are.
Maybe
we'll
like
stick
here?
it- Yeah, we
can
want
move
people
this
to
bauble.
Have you rotated it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I can rotate
Okay,
it back.
that's fine. It needs to go quite high because it's got a lot of dangle on it. So I might put it here. There we
Okay.
go. Beautiful. Lovely stuff. And it's so easy to hang. And that can be yours if
Yeah.
you go to TripleJumpShop.com. We have a very limited supply, and obviously Christmas is fast approaching. So if you want one in time for the big festive day, if you want Father Crimbles to come down your chimney and go, "That's sick, bro.
Sick.
I'm giving
an extra
you
present."
I'm giving
Yeah.
you a Nintendo 64
Nice.
as well as your graphics card. Is that what they want?
Sure, yeah.
Graphics card?
PlayStation 5.
Yeah, iPad.
5? iPad? Yeah. As well as Fortnite, you're going to get a Nintendo 64 because Father Christmas saw that you had a Billy Ray bauble.
Some V-Bucks.
Some V-Bucks too. Got to have those V-Bucks. TripleJumpShop.com.
If
New
you've
merch
been-
drop.
If you've been naughty this year, you get some V-Coal instead.
Yeah.
Yeah, very
You get
cold.
mine coin if you've been naughty.
Along with the energy, so you're gonna want coal. Maybe if you want some coal, it'll be actually pretty good. You can stay warm.
Someone to be naughty this year.
Good
That's our
jokes,
sponsor.
mums on Facebook.
That's our really good sponsor, TripleJumpShop.com. But in addition to that, we are sponsored, I'm losing my voice, by
can
our
do it.
wonderful patrons over at patreon.com/Team TripleJump, where for as little as $1 per month, you can submit questions to this podcast. Thank you to everybody who heard our rallying cry last week and submitted questions.
Yeah, lots of new
This
names
week.
this week.
That's wonderful. There are lots of new names on this running order that I've not seen before, which is really exciting.
That's great.
There's loads of other tiers available as well. Also, before we get to it, you may notice that either the clothing changes or that an entire Peter Austin disappears by
Yeah.
the time we hit the big discussion, because we're recording most of this on Thursday. Obviously, the Game Awards are Thursday night, so Ashton and I are going to follow up on Friday morning and hit the big discussion there.
Talk
so
about
we can,
it.
We can talk about the Game Awards.
Yeah.
Because they haven't happened yet.
I won't be in though on Friday morning, and when I am in, I'll be prepping for my stream, which
Yes.
has happened now by the time this comes out. So
Go watch the VOD.
I won't be there doing the Game Awards roundup.
What's that stream again, Peter?
Spyro 2 all the way through without gliding. I'm going to get to the final boss and defeat the final boss. You do have to fly in the very, very final boss fight in the third phase. So that is going to happen.
But flying's not gliding, though.
It's
is
not,
it?
is it?
No, it's not.
If your wings are flapping, you're not gliding.
Yeah. So I'm going to be doing 2/3 of a triple jump because there's a special glitch. And I'm going to try and get all the way through the game to the final boss. No glides.
And it was a fantastic stream.
Thanks.
Past
Yeah, I had a
tense.
great time watching it.
YouTube.com / what is it? TripleJump
VODs.
VODs. Is that
Yeah.
it, or is it? Yeah,
TripleJump
is that
VODs.
that's the link,
You
isn't
can
it?
definitely
Pretty sure,
search
yeah.
for triple jump VODs on YouTube.
Or
and it takes you-
triplej.map/VODs.
That's it.
Yeah.
TripleJU.mp / VODs. That's how you can find it. Go watch Peter do his amazing challenge run. Let's start with a question.
Are you really going to balance that all the way through the podcast?
I've done it so far.
You
I'm
have.
just curious how long I can.
Is it keeping
will
you
last.
warm? Are you feeling the benefits?
It's keeping that very small portion of my head really warm.
That's good.
Great.
There's always one of those.
Yeah, you could just
get
put that
from
on if
you want.
TripleJumpShop.com.
I've already got a hat. I don't need a second.
Okay, that's fine.
Bloody hell.
So you want question 1 now, do you?
Yes, please.
It's from Jared McCarthy. McCarthy, it says. No H. It's not McCarthy.
No.
McCarthy.
Greetings, Bap. It actually says greeting, Bap. There's no S.
Single greeting.
Greeting, Bap. First time question asked here. As the terrifying third decade of my life looms ever present over the horizon, I find myself enjoying video games in a much different way than I used to in my teens and early 20s. As you age, how do you feel your appreciation for gaming differs, if at all? Thank you all so much for the years of content and making my Monday commute that much better. Thanks, Jared. An aging millennial.
Oh, Jared.
Thanks, Jared.
Wait until you hit 30. It's the same.
Yes.
But you get to say, I'm 30. I don't have time for that. And roll your eyes, and it's so good.
just to make you feel even
It's
worse,
really
Jared, you're actually already in the third decade.
I was
of
going to
your-
say, unless you're like just turning 20, you're already in your third
You're
decade.
in your third decade. You're about to
that's true.
complete it. So
Welcome to the 4th decade, my
Yeah.
friend.
So I don't think that my gaming proclivities have changed, like specifically in response to my age. I don't think that has been what has changed it, but it's almost as a side effect of as I've got older and life events have happened. That in itself has changed my gaming habits. So. I mean, broadly speaking, or generally speaking, it's just a case of having less time. I spend more time now with my lovely new wife.
Hope you're married.
Hope you are married.
We are married now. We watch a lot of like Netflix and stuff in the evenings when we come home from work. We want to like spend that time together, and she's not so into gaming, which is fine. And so as a result, because you might say, well, you could just play multiplayer games together, but she's not so into gaming. She plays a couple of PC games. She really likes the 2 Point Hospital and Campus, or whatever it's called, 2 Point
Yeah.
University game.
Campus.
And Stardew Valley as well. But when I do game, it's on my own. And I have less time to do that now because we do like to spend that time together doing other things. So
What? Weird.
That's
Gross.
super strange.
yeah,
Don't understand.
and as a result, because I've got less time to spend on gaming, it's made me less inclined to play some of the bigger kind of blockbuster games that come out year on year, because I know that if I am going to play all the way through a 30, 40-hour game in, occasional 2-hour chunks, it's going to take me like months at a time to do so. So I now kind of reserve my game time for big games that I really care about or smaller games. So that's why I've played things like the Namco remakes that came out, Bandai Namco remakes, the Pac-Man one and the Klonoa and stuff like that, and the little Lego building game, just things like that have really like slotted into my new schedule a lot better. But next year, there are several large games that I feel I don't want to sleep on. So there's a Star Wars game coming out. There's probably a Forspoken's coming out. It's another one.
Mm-hmm.
There's Crash Bandicoot game should be coming out. We don't know much about it, but it should have been announced at the Game Awards probably by the time this podcast comes out. Might just be a multiplayer thing. Might be sort of almost Battle Royale by the sounds of it, rather than, it's not going to be Crash 5. But yeah, there's a lot coming out in 2023, so I'm going to have to just find that time. But yeah, so it's not necessarily my age, it's more my life circumstances. Do you guys think it's age related or life related?
I think that it's definitely changed the way that I have viewed games, in that when I was younger, I just thought games were fun. And now I can appreciate the effort that's gone into making games, and I can appreciate the art and the, like, what's the word I'm looking for?
Cinematography or...
Yeah, but...
The care, the passion,
I can't remember. I kind of don't even...
Morals.
I can't even think of, like, how to explain the word I was looking for. Like, yeah, I appreciate the art a lot more, and I appreciate what they do with the resources they've got and the little tidbits that you kind of find along the way. I appreciate those a lot more, and I spend a lot more time kind of living in the worlds than I did when I was younger. Just used to run through areas and just do what I had to do. I wouldn't stop to smell the roses. But I do think that it's definitely changed. I think also now I'm a lot more aware of what goes on in the gaming industry. I do think that sometimes games are a lot harder for me to enjoy, knowing what's gone on behind the scenes for these games. I think there's that whole thing of like childhood naivety that you don't have as you get older. I mean, some people do because they just literally play the games. They don't follow a lot of game industry stuff online. But for us, especially when we hear about things like with Activision Blizzard, it makes the games they make a lot harder to enjoy because you know of the like horrible things that have been going on to the people behind the scenes. So I do think that there's definitely like a change in my awareness of video games, but I do still, have fun and play games for fun. And a lot of the time at the moment, I have loads of time on my hands because I live on my own. So every night, just go, hey, what do I want to sit at my computer or sit on my sofa and not talk to anyone for 4 hours? Hey, who knows? Just see what happens. But yeah, I do think that like is definitely that awareness that's changed now, and the appreciation for different parts of games, I believe.
Yeah.
I think, to answer your question, Peter, I think age, for me at least, is tied to a change in circumstances. A lot of people have said, since 2020, time's gone so fast. But I think we're all just getting older. And time does go fast. The weekend just comes around again and again. And I look forward to something that's like months away and then it's here.
Yeah.
And so on. And I don't know if there's been some crazy temporal shift in the universe, but I think it's just a case of getting older and just having more stuff on in your life and more duties and responsibilities. It's an endless, not to get too introspective, but it's just an endless cycle of setting reminders on my phone to do something tomorrow morning and then remembering a new thing I need to do the next day. And it just keeps going. And it gets faster and faster and faster until we die.
I'm more disturbed by the fact that we're turning 31 in a few months than
Really?
I was at turning 30, because people say, you're turning 30 or 40 or whatever, are you worried? I was like, I don't know, maybe yes, no, don't know. But to suddenly, it feels only very recently that I turned 30 and now I'm turning 31. It's like, okay, I'm now a 10th of the way to 40 from 30. So only as an indication of this is how fast time is going for you now.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, time is going faster for me, and as such, I do feel like I have less time to play games, and games are getting bigger, and we talk about it all the time, but I am far less enthused about huge games that demand all of your attention. Even the single player ones, like God of War, which I'll talk about in a bit, that I have now finished, and I loved it. But my God, I got to new areas there that were optional. And I know they're optional, but because of how I'm wired,
You feel like you have to do it.
it's like I feel like I'm missing out by not doing it.
I was saying.
And I'm just like, oh my God, please. I can't leave it alone, but I wish it wasn't here. And that doesn't mean that I don't think it's good. It just means that it's not really what I look for anymore. And I find that I appreciate games that are shorter far more than I used to. And that doesn't necessarily mean that every game I play has to be like 6 hours long. Like I'm happy with a 15, 20 hour game, but so often we're talking 40, 50, 60 hours now. And that's just, it takes me too long to play them. I have more time seemingly than Peter does to chip away at these games, but it still takes me weeks and weeks and weeks, which is probably the intention because you're meant to get your money's worth. But at the same time, there's stuff coming out every other day, and I can't keep up with it all. So there's that. There's also the fact that I have accepted that I'm part of the problem and that I want to play remakes of Pokemon Red and Blue until I die, I think. Just re-release it every 5 years. I will buy it and I'll love it. And finally, I think one thing that I'm worrying about increasingly as I get older is that I'm missing out on a lot of the big sort of social gaming experiences. So live service games, for example, that like millions of people play, that just does not appeal to me at all, just because of the nature of how those games work. And I'm sure if I really gave them a go, I'd have a great time. But then to properly experience and enjoy those games, I feel like I wouldn't be able to balance what time I have for gaming to actually play anything else. And that's very much the direction that the industry is moving, is those games. And, you know, tournaments and communities and competitive fighting games and all this kind of stuff is really big business, esports. And I just don't feel like I connect with any of it. And that may change as time goes by, and that becomes maybe our only option for what we play. But I feel like that, as much as anything else, is, as I get older, something that I have less interest in and less time for. But that's where the industry is going.
Saying that as well, I do think that now I'm much more resistant to trying new games and new genres and things that I'm not, you know, in my comfort zone, because I know what I like and I know what I would rather spend my time and effort and energy and money on, where there's a lot of games that people say, oh, it's really good, but I haven't got the mental capacity to try a new game. I don't want to, because I know what I like, and that doesn't fit into my very specific criteria of things that I want to play at the moment. And I think I'm also, that thing of being like, I don't want to play a live service game. I don't want to play an online game. Therefore, I'm just not even going to think about them because I don't want to play them. I think I'm more restrictive now in what I will go out of my way to play, because I'm like aware of what I have liked and what I haven't liked, and also what I have and have not got time for.
Yeah, I feel like that in kind of on both sides of the coin. Like I would be concerned of like spending time on a new genre and then finding, oh, well, I don't even like it as I thought, and that was a waste of my precious little gaming time. Or even I might be a bit worried that like, what if I try this new thing and I really like it, and then that's another thing I've got to try and enjoy and like spend my free time on, and want to do that when I've got all these other things I want to do as well. So yeah, I'm kind of resistant on both for both reasons.
No, I agree.
Well, the future is bright.
Yes.
There's lots of very exciting games coming out. It's just they've got to slow down.
Yeah.
Slow down. We just want to, as you said, Ashton, we just want to smell the roses a little bit before we have to play the next thing.
How can we be a cog in the perpetual wheel of capitalism and still enjoy the games you make? There's simply not time. There's simply not time.
We just need a mandated gaming schedule that everyone has to stick to, and then take away free will, basically. That's what we're saying. And we'll all be good.
Just wire me up.
Do that, please.
Plug me directly in to the machine.
Well, speaking of not having enough time to play things, it's time to move on to a section we've never done before.
No, it's called What We Playin'.
It's What We Playin' time. It's time to talk about what we've been playing this week. Peter, what have you been playing this week?
Well, I have mostly been getting my practice in for my Spyro jumping. So I've done a lot of that. That will now be done. And I'm sort of glad. I'm a bit sick of that soundtrack, to be honest. It's a good soundtrack, but I've heard a lot of it over and over again. But I did actually, on I don't know what day it was. Monday? No, Tuesday was it? Me and my old school friends had a COVID style Zoom call.
Nice.
Wow.
And we played some. It wasn't Jackbox. What is it? My friend has these games where you do just hook in with your phone with a code. I don't know what it's called though, but it's very, very similar. It's all the kind of just like a drawing game, basically Pictionary, and a lying one. So it did some of that. I should have actually thought I must get the name of this so I can at least name drop it in what we're playing. So that was fun and a bit of a strange throwback, really, because I think it might be the first time we've done that since actual lockdown. And we're all sitting there like going, hey, how are you all? We didn't used to do that before coronavirus. We would just get together. But we decided, oh, yeah, let's do that in the lead up to Christmas. And we're all sitting there like, we've all got a drink and stuff, and we're on our video calls, and it's like, oh, we could have actually just met up to do this and played some games, but here we are. It's convenient though.
It is.
So that was fun, but that is all I've been playing this week, and I'm looking forward to having a bit of time off at Christmas and having a bit more time during the week to play some games.
You taking anything with you to the family?
I don't know that's the thing. When I go away and see the family, I also don't. Well, it's not that I don't have time to play games, but I don't like to take my hardware with me. So apart from maybe playing something like Jackbox, like just hooking up someone's laptop to the TV, we wouldn't typically do that. So yeah, that's kind of ironic as well, because it's like, oh, I finally got some time. I'm on holiday. It's Christmas, but then I don't have a console with me. I'm probably coming back up north a lot sooner than I normally would this year. So then I'll have several days before we go back to work to just sit.
You're not going to invest in one of those little PS1 screens for the car that you can put on the back and do that and play that.
Yeah, or I could try and get a bit more into the Switch, because that's a lot easier to take with you.
That's true.
That's very true.
Yeah.
Very, very true.
Not the PS5 though. That's a monolith.
Probably get a screen for that.
Yeah.
Could do.
Yeah. That's SCART outputs, right? You just attach the PS1 screen, a tiny little thing with this
Experience
gigantic
God of War
twisty
exactly
console.
how they intended.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. 100%.
Ashton, what have you been playing?
I have been playing a bit more 2 Point Campus. I don't know why. I think it's because it's installed and it's on my desktop and I just didn't know what else to play. But I've been playing 2 Point Campus. I've also been playing on Game Pass, that was recently released, Somerville, which we saw at some of the game things over the last 12 months. I've played about a couple of hours of that, and then I got distracted by something else.
That's from the Limbo and Inside devs, right?
It's definitely very similar. I think you'd really enjoy it.
Yeah, I did want to give it a go.
And yeah, it's quite interesting. I kind of didn't know what the gameplay was going to be like. Well, I knew like the vibe and what kind of mechanics we were going to see, but I didn't know like what the kind of story was going to be. I won't spoil it, but I think it's pretty good. If you like that kind of mystifying, atmospheric game, then I definitely think you'd enjoy Somerville. Also, we finished Saints Row, the story.
Yeah.
Still haven't finished.
Your favourite game?
My favourite game.
Did the end glitch out?
Oh my god, it glitched out so bad.
Did it?
The final mission of that game is
my God.
bugged as hell.
Still.
And even worse in co-op.
Yeah.
That is
But
fantastic.
I will say the game got an actual gasp and chuckle out of the two of us when we were playing it, because when you play it in co-op, obviously as you're going into the final mission, you're kind of having a thing of being like, I've got to save my friends, I've got to do this. And then because both of our characters were talking, they started talking to each other. They were like, hey, I thought they were my friends. And then the other character was like, no, they're my friends. And then we were like, wait, are our characters talking to each other right now?
They're breaking the fourth wall. So throughout the rest of the game, they don't
acknowledge each other. But then at the end, they're like, are you a split personality? And then there's a line of like,
I like that.
They're like, which one of us is real? I sure hope the real one's driving right now. Was like, and it made us laugh. And it was like the one point in the game where we both like, nice game.
Game of the year.
Game of the year,
man.
My favorite game.
Game of the year.
But man, the final mission of that game is so bugged. You fly a plane at one point, and because there was two of us in it, one of us got to control the guns, and the other one got to fly the plane thing. And my boyfriend was like doing the guns, but his camera was just every little movement, it was just bugging around the place.
Oh, God.
I couldn't see any of the like gunfire at all. It was just freezing next to the plane and not actually going to its destination. And then during the final boss, the boss like throws a smoke bomb and is meant to like disappear and appear somewhere else, but he just kept running around throwing smoke bombs, and then he just disappeared and it just cut to the next bit of the game. And then right during the final moments, I'd played a prank, which is like this in-game mechanic that if you do a certain challenge, you can prank the other person playing. And I'd pranked Ben just before we were going into the final cutscene. And his character was upside down for the entirety of the final cutscene. There's a bit where it's like over your shoulder, like Mexican standoff, and instead of seeing the back of the character's head, it was just the legs in the air. And then as you like, he walks towards the other character, it was just upside down in the silhouette, and it was just, it was perfect. It was so good.
Nice.
But we've both agreed that we're going to platinum this game.
No.
Oh my God.
You have to do so much to platinum
the thing is, we've already done like a lot of it, just like throughout the game, and we're very much aware of like, right, we're just gonna do what we need to do, just do the bits, because some bits are fun. Not all of it, not most of it. Some bits are fun. But yeah, so we're doing it. We're going to platinum it. We've decided. But he moves to Newcastle this weekend. So
amazing. It
it might be that we never play it again because we will just be busy doing other things. And also we haven't figured out our gaming setup yet. But yeah, we might platinum it. We're really close though. We've only got maybe like 7 more trophies to get, most of which we can get by like just doing in-game stuff.
That was a lot more than me. I think I didn't do much of the side
There's
stuff.
only one thing where you've got to like wingsuit launch, which is just a ridiculous mechanic, on like 4 people in 30 seconds.
Right.
And Ben was trying to do it and he was getting so mad, like actually viscerally angry. And I was like, hey, why don't we just go do something else? So
it works. It just works.
It just works. Yeah.
Oh,
so that's what I've played this week.
I mean, I nearly said when you were talking about in the previous question about, why are these games so huge? And it's like they could make them smaller and work better as
they
well.
could, 100%.
Again, we've talked about that
They
many
could
times
get rid of
before,
so much
but-
of the guff in the Saints Row and like all the missions that are literally exactly the same, all the side stuff, and it would still be a fine game. Maybe even better than it currently is.
Maybe even a good game.
Yeah, maybe.
I have played this week a little bit of Sackboy: A Big Adventure in co-op, and I forgot quite how much I really enjoyed that game when it came out. It's just so delightful, and the soundtrack's great as well.
Yeah.
It didn't do brilliantly review-wise, but I would love a sequel to it because I just think it's just so fun.
Yeah.
It's just a nice game.
Charming.
Real palate cleanser on the PS5 launch for sure. It's on Steam now, I think, as well. It's on PC. So if you are interested in that, you should give it a go. It's just a lovely co-op game or single player, depending on how you want to tackle it. But really enjoying that. I have played a little bit of Midnight Suns, Marvel's Midnight Suns, which we will talk about in the review corner momentarily. I finished Pokemon Scarlet. That's done. I rolled credits on it. Some people on Twitter said, oh, there's a huge post game. You're not done yet. And I'm like, I am. I am done. I have rolled the credits and I am done. I got all my Pokemon to sort of like early to mid 80s levels. So that's pretty good. I really enjoyed that game. As I said on Twitter when I posted about it, it's the best game that runs like absolute flip that I've played in ages. And it's such a shame it runs so terribly. But we've talked at length about the technical issues on this podcast in the past few weeks. So I will just say that it's really fun. And if you are thinking of buying it for a young person, chances are they will not know what bugs or glitches are, really, or technical shortcomings. So they'll have a great time. So I would recommend Pokemon fans give it a go too. I liked
I
it.
saw a clip this morning where someone was walking around in a cave and they clipped the camera through the wall, the cave wall, which they just seemed to be able to do very easily.
Sure.
So they just swung the camera around, and on the other side of the wall there was a shiny Pokemon, and they were like, "How many Pokemon have we all been walking past?"
Yeah, that's
They're
true.
stuck in the walls.
I do run into Pokemon all the time that are basically invisible because they're so small, or just poking out of walls and stuff. But I will say that I have had no glitches or bugs really to speak of. It's just been performance issues. It appears most of the glitches and bugs happen for people when they're playing online multiplayer, like co-op, which I did try a little of with editor Kieran the other night, which was pretty good fun. And we didn't really encounter anything too bad, to be honest. It seems to work pretty well. But I was surprised, actually, when you play co-op, you hop into another person's game, but you don't have to be near each other. You can just go like across the world to the other side, which is probably part of the reason why it struggles so much.
Yeah.
I think that's also one of the issues with Saints Row is that you can be in completely different sides of the map and you're like, why is nothing spawning in? And it's like, well, because everything's over the other side
It's
of
like
the
that
map.
episode of Rick and Morty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was good. I was genuinely pleasantly surprised by that. The most I've enjoyed a Pokemon game in a long time. I've also finished God of War. I finished that at the beginning of this week. Flipping heck, what a game. So good.
So good.
To be able to refer to how I felt about, or how the ending made me feel, is probably inherently a spoiler in and of itself. So I will just say that I liked the ending.
Did you do the second credits too?
Yes, I did.
Isn't that song a banger?
It's pretty good.
It's so good. It goes hard.
Yes, it's I think the most natural and compelling, what's the term I'm trying to come up with, the transition into a post game I have ever experienced in a video game.
Yeah.
And it's a post game that I actually want to play because it basically, the story doesn't stop. It's just like, okay, well, that was the end, but there's still work to do, and all the characters like go out and they're still living their lives, and they've got.
You can encounter like all the characters you met along the way, just like around the place for the rest of the game. They'll just be about. So.
Yeah, it's just a really good post game. Everyone's got new things to say. It's like I think it's a phenomenal game, like a really, really impressive achievement. I just wish maybe it was a bit smaller. I did ask Twitter actually what people thought of the side stuff, and about 75% of people in my poll that I ran thought it added more than it took away, which is totally understandable because I think the side stuff is really good. I just wish that it wasn't there. because it just extended the game time for me so much. But I think it's a phenomenal game. I do intend on platinuming it at some point, but at the moment I am playing Midnight Suns.
I really need to platinum it, but I just can't beat the last two bosses.
Oh.
They're really hard and they keep killing me. I'm going to make my boyfriend do it when he's here.
Well, that's everything we've been playing. It's time to throw it over to us in the review corner.
Ooh.
Welcome everyone to the review corner.
Oh, it's so nice and cozy in the review.
Disembodied voices. You can't actually see us, but you can hear us. You're looking at, I think, stream footage of us playing, what's it called?
The Devil in Me.
The Devil in Me. I wanted to say Little
Inside.
Little Devil Inside. Yeah, I think that's what.
Inside Me.
Yes. Yeah, this is, of course, Dark Pictures Anthology Devil in Me, which released a couple of weeks ago. We've been streaming it. It's about time we flipping talked about it right here, I think, on the review corner.
Yes.
For people who are unfamiliar, this is the final game in the so-called Season 1 of Dark Pictures Anthology. But I think Season 2 probably just starts next year with another game.
Yeah, I don't think there'll be any larger of a gap between this and the next game than there was since the previous one necessarily.
No.
If there was, it might run really well and we wouldn't want that.
Yeah.
No, who wants that?
That would really distract.
Characters
from the
with not dead
experience.
eyes. No thanks.
Ridiculous. Give me those glass eyes.
Yeah.
So the sort of premise of this one is that you play as a group of documentary filmmakers invited to a modern day replica of serial killer H.H. Holmes' murder castle. And things aren't all as they seem. So you're there to make a movie, but then maybe something's gone a bit Pete Tong.
Make a dead instead.
Make a dead. I'm going to name the characters now. Do you guys want to quickly sort of give an overview of each one?
Sure.
Based on your experience. We've got Kate Wilder, played by Jessie Buckley.
She's the presenter of the show, and she is an ex-girlfriend of the other guy called Mark, I think. And there's a bit of drama between the two of them. They all hate this one guy, and she's quite vocal about it.
She's got a real chip on her shoulder about.
She really does.
About what's his name?
Charlie.
Charlie, yeah. I mean, like you said, they all seem to hate him. And actually, as the game's gone on, it's become more and more apparent how much everyone else hates him. But right out of the gate, Like she just absolutely despised
Yeah.
him.
And she doesn't care who hears it.
No.
She stands in open hallways.
And it didn't really
just shouts about it.
Like I straight away, I was like, "Wow, I don't like you very much."
No.
Even though everyone else shares the opinion, at least they're try to be a bit more civil about it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Charlie Lonnet.
That's his English. All right, it's me, Charlie Lonnet.
Charlie.
He really wants a cigarette.
does.
And he's like the producer of the show. And
Lonnet Productions.
Lonnet Productions. Everyone hates him. Like, do they just hate him? He's clearly struggling with like money and something is going on behind the scenes. But he's the reason that they're all there. He got a phone call, a limo picked them up, and he was like, "Cool, we're going here." Didn't like preemptively look into it or anything.
Put your phones in the box, everyone.
Yeah, no
We're all-
phones. We're going there.
Yeah. And I would say he's almost gone on. It's the other way around, where like when we started, I thought this guy seems all right. Why is everyone being so mean to him? But as we've got to know him more and more, I've thought, I don't know, you seem a bit of a dick, to be honest.
Yeah. Mark Nestor.
That's the ex-boyfriend.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, he's a cameraman. He wants to be a photographer. Their whole thing is that they obviously still love each other, but they don't work together, and they keep making snide comments to each other all the time. He's all right, bit bland of a man.
He's all right. He's not that remarkable.
Doesn't like heights.
Doesn't
We
like
know.
heights.
Doesn't like heights. And the strange thing, so I mean, this is now getting to sort of review-ish territory, is that we've tried to play him as though did we try and say that we wanted him to not be that interested in getting back together with her, right? We were like giving answers.
We wanted him to be civil, but like not.
I can't remember which
date
way around
her.
it was, but like we had the choice of either being nice or not nice. And we would make these decisions. And then there would just be these like scripted moments where he was acting completely contrary to what we were doing, like later on in cutscenes, which is not ideal. You'd sort of prefer that the game tried to read the vibe you were giving and maybe play out a different cutscene.
Yeah. We've also got Jamie Tiergan.
Jamie is
She's horrible.
She's horrible.
Yeah.
She's kind of the worst.
Just hate her.
She's in charge of lighting,
Abrasive.
but like, why? If you're like, they don't understand why she's here. She's abrasive. All she's done so far is just kiss another character.
Refused to warn everyone that like, hey, why is our host just jumped
ran
onto
off.
the ferry?
Yeah.
Didn't tell everyone about that for
Yeah.
about half an hour.
But yeah, she's kind of the worst. She hates everyone, and she makes it clear that she doesn't like everyone.
Yeah.
That's Jamie.
Just better than everyone else,
Yeah.
she thinks. And finally, we've got Erin Keenan.
Erin's got asthma.
Yeah,
that's
her
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 entire
thing.
got
personality.
asthma.
She's like the sound woman and Charlie's assistant, and she kissed Jamie, and she's already almost died
Yeah.
once or twice already. So
And she came to an island with seemingly one inhaler that only has 3
and she keeps
puffs
leaving it in
left.
her room.
Yeah. So we've got to use those sparingly as the game goes on, seemingly. Otherwise, we will die at some point.
Sort of a
Yeah.
scared field mouse vibe
Yeah,
is
that is
what I
kind
get
of
from
vibe.
her.
And they keep leaving her
Timid.
on her own.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
She keeps getting
She nearly
caught.
gets killed, and then they're like, right, we're all going to go off and explore on our own. You stay here
Bye,
in the
Erin.
murder castle.
Yeah.
room."
Yeah.
As with all of these games, there's a lot of technical shortcomings. Peter found a fantastic one almost immediately
Yeah.
where he was walking away from something the game wanted him to interact with, and it slingshotted him like
Back to where-
15 feet across the floor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's probably the main thing we've encountered. I feel like maybe we've seen one or two.
There's
others
been
strange.
like real good moments where the characters' faces just revert back to like
Yeah,
neutral
default state,
and
yeah.
then decide to continue,
Emoting.
reacting.
Yeah.
It's just kind of in the same way that all Dark Pictures games are, just a little bit janky, and the faces just never quite move correctly. Like sometimes they get it, and other times they're just like, hey, watch out for that thing, and their face is just not moving even a little
It's a shame
bit.
as well because graphically these games are actually really impressive. Like when you look at someone's face, just a still of it, you're like, wow, that's like almost like a photo. But then once they're in motion, it's not good at all.
Yeah.
So yeah, in that sense, it's very similar fare to what we've seen before, but they have sort of innovated a little bit, haven't they, with your control of characters as you move around and
That's
the
true.
abilities that you've got.
Yeah, you've got like stuff on your D-pad that you can access for
Yeah.
certain things. Like if you've got a key or like a lockpick or an inhaler, you can use that on your D-pad to kind of interact with things and do stuff.
And if you want to climb ladders, you have to sort of mash the X button because the prompt only
Doesn't
appears
show
at a very specific angle.
Yeah.
So I was wandering around a room for like 3 or 4 minutes. Like, surely the ladder is where I go. And it was just when the camera was pointed down and slightly to the left.
Yeah.
It said, oh, press X to use the ladder.
We also had one point where we were watching a cutscene and one of the subtitles from the previous conversation was stuck on the screen.
Yeah.
So every time there was like a moment where there was no one talking, it would be like, just do it, okay? On the bottom of the screen. But the story-wise, it's pretty interesting so far. We've got, clearly something's trying to kill us. We think we've seen some murders happen already, but maybe it was not real. There's all these animatronics that are a bit creepy and weird.
Yeah. I really like the premise.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I do.
This one.
And it's been a bit spooky at times. Like when I was wandering through that corridor with my sound, with like the microphone, and she was trying to like
Completely
hear through
dark
walls.
in the room,
and there was very strange sort of moaning noises, like crying. It was like, oh yeah, this is actually a little bit spooky.
Yeah. So I'm a big fan of how it's playing out so far. Usual jank aside, like this one doesn't seem like it's going to go crazy supernatural. Like,
No, I don't think so.
Like the last one or like The Quarry did. So I'm on board with it. I will say though, the usual sort of trope of supermassive games in that there's just so much manufactured hostility and hatred between the characters is definitely here. As you said, we make decisions specifically to try and keep these guys on, on the up and up.
Yeah.
And then they'll just, out of context, when you're not playing as them, or even when you are playing as them, just not a dialogue option you've chosen, they'll just go, "Oh, well, you'd like that, wouldn't you?"
Yeah.
And it's like, why are you
Hey,
forcing this
calm down.
drama in here? Why do they hate each other? Why is
Yeah.
every character so detestable?
And we know it's because they're like, oh, if they all liked each other, they wouldn't all split up. So we need to force some kind of reason for them all to split up. But like, it's just every single game. The Quarry was exactly the same. You just don't like any of the characters. And even though you like don't want your character to die so you can't play the game anymore, you still like, you don't really want them to survive because they're kind of the worst.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They are the worst.
The only character I want to survive is Enid or Erin.
Erin.
Even. Yeah.
Yeah,
Because she's just has no idea what's going on.
No, she deserves
love
to
it.
survive, I think. Or her death will be the rallying cry that brings the team together
Absolutely not.
to be best mates, or they'll just fall apart.
Blame
Yeah.
each other.
Yeah.
It's your
That's
fault
probably
she's
how
dead.
it'll go.
Yeah.
But that's the Dark Pictures Anthology, Devil in Me. I am, on the whole, really enjoying it.
Yeah.
I think it's great so far. And as we always say, never want them to stop making these.
Never.
Because they're brilliant.
It is a Dark Pictures Anthology game, so we're enjoying it as one of those.
Yes.
It's not, if you've never played one before and you don't know what to expect, then make sure you work out what to expect. before
Manage
you
your
invest in it.
expectations.
It's
Yeah.
not going to be a game of the year
No.
contender, but it's good fun
Yeah.
for what it is. Well, now we're going to pass over to me and James Jenkins, I believe, unless plans change in the next 24 hours, to talk about Midnight Suns.
Wow, thank you very much, guys. Guess who snuck into this review corner that we're still at?
James Jenkins is in the review corner.
Hello. Hi, Ben.
Sound off.
Whoa.
Review corner. Poop. Well, we're recording
Excellent.
this after the Game Awards. I'm knackered. I'm losing my mind over here. James, we're here to talk about Marvel's Midnight Suns.
Yes, you've been
which-
playing a bit.
Yeah, it released last week. You are the resident Firaxis expert.
I know a few.
What are they normally known for, Firaxis?
Well, XCOM would be their big thing. I and others,
others. Similar
the other
strategy
things have
games.
escaped me, but obviously, like XCOM is the big one, and yeah. So when this game released, everyone was kind of expecting not a reskin of XCOM, but something very XCOM-like.
Yeah.
It's not quite that, is it? How are you finding it?
No, so I'm no XCOM expert. I'm no XCOM expert, but I do like Marvel, and I have been interested in this in a while because I'm a basic boy. You slap the superheroes on something, I'm at least partially interested in it. So let me give you sort of the overview of what this game is, the premise, what's going on. So you play as the Hunter, and you're resurrected after your mother Lilith is brought back by Hydra to destroy the world. She's like
Mom.
a super spooky magic woman, sort of like a demon. And
Is she part of like the Marvel universe, or is she new?
I think citation needed. I think
could be.
the hunter isn't. Lilith might be,
Yeah.
but your player character isn't.
Okay.
So the caretaker, who you used to run with in the 1700s, which is when you were last alive,
Brilliant.
has reformed a group known as the Midnight Suns, who are all about magic and sorcery and stopping demons and stuff.
Yeah.
And you're recruiting new members in an effort to stop Lilith. So that's the
Exciting.
basic thing. You get brought back. You don't know what's going on. You were
Yeah.
last alive in the 1700s. Lilith has been brought back at the same time. And your mission when you were last alive, you were basically trained from birth by the caretaker to destroy your evil mother, essentially.
Wow.
And you succeeded then, and now you've been
Cool.
brought back again. And the Midnight Suns already has some members in there. You've got Blade, Captain
Yes.
Marvel, Doctor Strange, Ghost Rider, Iron Man, and Nico Minoru from the Runaways. They're all all playable characters right off the bat.
That's pretty good. Yeah, a decent cast actually.
To begin with, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this is the thing. Well, continue.
So, your hub of operations is the Abbey, is what it's called.
Okay.
And it is, and let me quote, hidden in a pocket dimension on the cliffs of Salem, Massachusetts. So
Classic.
it's spooky as heck.
Yeah.
And you are there day to day. You've got your own bedroom. And this is where this game's a little bit weird. I'll talk about how the actual combat works in a minute. But the hub is where you will spend most of your time between missions. Instead of being a series of menus like I've watched you play XCOM before, you'll like tab over to the research center and you'll see what's being researched. In this, you physically run to the room where that stuff is.
No, it's interesting. An interesting choice there, isn't it? Yeah.
And it works to some degree, I think, but you will run from you'll be able to run around and talk to people there, and you'll be able to hang out with people. Again, I'll talk about that in a second. And it's all about building the camaraderie of your friends, training up between missions, creating new gear. There's loads of places to explore on the grounds of the Abbey and some sort of like side exploration-y things and side quests you can do that aren't actual missions.
Okay.
And then when you're ready, you'll go to
social
the
elements.
war
Yeah.
table and you'll launch an actual mission which will progress the story and stuff like that.
So almost, sort of elements of so Fire Emblem does that. Yeah, there a few others again.
Persona.
Names escape me, but yeah, Persona. Yes,
Yeah.
that was the other big one. Slightly different sort of with the gameplay wise, but
Hmm.
So you've got that sort of social element, and that helps sort of reinforce the gameplay. I mean, how have you found it?
Yeah, it does indeed. So you'll have dialogue options when you're talking to people, and depending on what you choose, you'll potentially get like plus or minus hearts, which will attribute to your friendship level.
Oh yes,
with those superheroes, and your friendship level can
Blake's
level
my
up.
new best friend.
Well, exactly, and you
Come
can
on.
go on. It's really weird. You can go on. I think they're called like hangouts, and sometimes there are group hangouts where you can spend an evening with lots of people, and you'll just take them to various places. Like I went bird watching with Captain Marvel.
Nice.
That's a thing you can do, and you will just sort of banter back and forth.
It's a
And when
weird
you're done,
Mad Libs, isn't it? Really,
it's really it's truly bizarre.
Yeah.
And your friendship level will level up, and everything is tied into everything. There's a lot to learn. It throws a lot of information at you, but everything is tied together. So if you spar with someone during the day in the training ground, you'll level up your friendship, but also you'll get a bonus for the person you train with if you take them into a mission that day.
That's nice.
If
That's
you're
good.
friends with someone, they will perform better in combat, much like Persona and that kind of stuff. So it does all tie in. Whether or not its inclusion is necessary, I will discuss shortly. But let's talk about the combat itself.
Oh, now this is juicy. This is a juicy bit.
So it's card based.
Yep.
which is not going to be for everyone. And I think XCOM is usually sort of like a grid-based
The
system.
forbidden mechanic. Yeah, so from what I'm aware of, so XCOM is grid-based. There's a lot of these sort of games that, it's easier to work with grid-based, although you've got something like Mario and Rabbids, the sequel, I believe, through that grid away, and it was just more freeform. And this is similar, right?
Yeah, this is freeform. There's no grid stuff. So you're basically on a battlefield in
cool.
a
Okay.
big square, if you will, and the surroundings will be decorated depending on where you're meant to be, and there will be enemies there, and you have a turn to fight them, and then they get a turn, and they will usually, once you defeat enough of them, or each go, they will get reinforcements, and there will be a certain amount of reinforcements, and you'll just have to kill them all. Sometimes you'll have objectives like stop the helicopter from taking off, so you've got 4 turns to destroy the helicopter while also managing your hero's health, and I think you can only have 3 heroes with you.
Okay.
Managing your hero's health and trying to kill the other guys that keep respawning as well while also trying to do that. Sometimes you've got to protect stuff. But it's incredibly deep, and it's still teaching me stuff now. Like That's 4 hours into the game, you have a certain number of actions per go, so you usually get like 3 card uses. You can burn 2 cards per go, which will instantly replace them. So if you have a move that you can't use yet or that you don't really want, there's a chance that it could be replaced by a better move from your deck, from that hero's deck.
That's interesting.
That you can then use immediately.
Yeah.
There's also environmental stuff as well. So if you position, you have 1 free move, like literally move a character across the battlefield per go. So if you are, let's say, on one side of a vaultable object that you can jump over, if you use your free move to get in the path so that there's an enemy on the other side, you can then interact with it and jump up in the air and hit them and do like a bonus attack, basically, that doesn't count as a card. Most moves, though, beyond the basic cards require something called heroism to pull off, you earn heroism based on the cards that you use. So like if you use a basic card, you'll get 1 heroism, and then if you want to do a super powerful attack, that card you'll basically just have to sit in your deck until you get enough heroism to use it to do a big move.
Kind of like action points or mana or that sort of thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it builds up.
Interesting.
So that's the basic premise. It is so unbelievably deep, and as I said, it's still teaching me things. But there is like, because it's Marvel branded, I think a lot of people are going to give this a go who otherwise normally wouldn't give this kind of game a go. And I don't...
That's good and bad,
It is good and bad, exactly. I think it's good and bad, because I want to be clear that I don't think this is a bad game. However, I do think that this is a niche game, and it will only truly appeal to people who actually really like this stuff. It may well draw in new fans, which is great. It's done its job. But if you were thinking, oh, cool, a new Marvel game, I imagine it's going to be unlike what you were expecting, for sure.
That's the thing. Some people might be coming into it expecting a sort of story thing, kind of like, Guardians of the Galaxy or something like that, or the Avengers. But I just want to sort of rewind a little bit with the so the big thing, obviously, with XCOM and Firaxis is percentage chances. Getting a 95% chance to hit, missing it completely, ruined. I've heard, and it's quite a big thing for this sort of game, that they don't have that. You don't have like a percentage chance to miss, but then you've also got that sort of random element with the cards you get. How are you finding that?
So there's no percentage chance.
Yeah.
And to be fair, they've tried to make this as accessible as possible. There is a story mode difficulty, which is it makes it as easy as it can be, and there's also much harder difficulties as well if you want that. Obviously, the heroes can't permanently die.
Of course,
because that wouldn't make sense as it does in XCOM.
Sorry, we can't have a new Marvel phase.
No,
Wolverine,
sadly,
Wolverine died.
Wolverine was killed by a Hydra grunt, and the end. No, they just get knocked down, and you can revive them immediately. You get a card to revive in your next hand that will count as one of your goes.
Cool.
And I think there are chances, perhaps in training, and depending on the missions. I'm not sure about mission-wise, but certainly some of your guys can get injured, and then they'll have to sit out a couple of missions or or similar, some kind of mechanic like that. But no, there's no percentage chance. And it's not hugely punishing, I would say, if you don't want it to be, and you just want to sort of crack on and experience the story. I do have a few nitpicks though. Generally, I think the presentation is kind of rough. This is going to sound like a really catty thing to say, but I would describe it as having
Catwoman-y thing to say. Oh, wrong one. Go on.
Black catty things to say. She's one. I would describe it as having MMO graphics.
Ooh,
if that makes sense. I'm glad that they're not going for photorealism, to be clear. And when you're actually in the combat, I think it truly shines, the sort of cartoony kind of art style. However, when you're sort of awkwardly like it's got a weird running animation for your custom hunter. The customizing is very limited, by the way, as well. The character creation, it's like there's not a great deal of like facial animations or lip sync.
That's a shame,
The voices generally are fine, but Tony Stark does sound like a sort of Poundland Robert Downey Jr., which is kind of, I feel they're forced to go that route.
It's
now.
difficult, isn't it? It's difficult to branch away because then you get the same sort of issue with the Avengers, don't you?
Yeah.
They were all sort of like Poundland versions, but
Absolutely. I just think generally I'm really interested to know at what point, or if it was always planned to have the Abbey be a place you can walk around and talk to people, because it does feel like it was. It's not that it doesn't feel finished; it just feels kind of strange.
Yeah,
Doctor Strange.
Nice.
Yeah, a bit weird. There's also 5 currencies that I counted as well.
Okay.
And I think
Slightly
at least one of them is premium. There's,
weird.
I think across the board, Firaxis needs to be sort of applauded for really having a swing at this and trying something that's completely out of their wheelhouse, even if fundamentally the core gameplay is similar. This stuff is way beyond what they've done before.
Yeah, exactly. It sounds like they mixed up a lot of details that, like I said earlier, it could so easily have been like a reskinned XCOM, and they thought about it. They thought, for example, with the permadeath, that makes no sense because they're superheroes. Like they're not going to die to a grunt. So
No, they're not.
Yeah, it does sound like the general consensus I've sort of heard and I'm getting from you as well is that the combat itself seems very good. There's a lot of sort of promise there, and yeah, like the social interactions and stuff. Do you feel like those two elements of the game sort of tie in nicely together? They're not too.
I mean, the fact that there's actually a gameplay benefit from doing it justifies
that does help,
its inclusion, but it does still feel strange. There's lots of stuff like you're not feeling
like you're just pushing through it to get to the other, but like one side to get to the other. Sort of thing.
I'm not particularly interested in being Iron Man's friend. Like, not really. But some people will. Some people will. Some people will relish that. There's lots of bizarre sort of social aspects. Like you can buy and furniture and customize your bedroom. And things like that.
Okay.
There's all sorts of really weird decisions they've made. There's like a swimming hole on the grounds that clearly later in the game you hang out at, because you can choose Captain Marvel's swimsuit and you can unlock more. There's so many choices where they've really put their all into it, but I'm still just kind of confused as to why it's there. I think final word on it. It's if you're a Firaxis fan and you're not off-put by it being Marvel, you will enjoy this game a lot. If you're a huge Marvel fan, I'd recommend giving it a go if you're really curious, but just be aware of what kind of game it is, because as I said earlier, I think a lot of people will maybe be getting this for Christmas or just see that it's a new Marvel game and they'll hop in not knowing what it is and bounce right off it. So do your research. I hope this review corner has helped a little bit and know what you're getting into. But generally, I think it's a fun game, and as one that I've sort of a genre I've not really tried before, I think I'm going to try my best to stick with it.
Yes, we'll get you on XCOM by the end of next year.
We'll see.
Wow, fantastic! I was sort of a bit on the fence about it, but I mean that sort of convinced me a little bit. I think
excellent.
I may well give it a go. But yeah, thank you very much for.
You're welcome. Thank you for being here and talking to me about XCOM. It's helpful to have that. Oh, bloody hell. We'll just cut that out. Thank you for being here and talking to me about XCOM. It's really helpful to have that sort of that insight. But now we need to pass back over to past, future.
Yes.
Who knows? Other podcast people.
Future, Ben, Peter, and Ashton. I'm gonna leave now. Actually, I'm gonna stay here in the corner. Just watch them.
All right, just
awkwardly.
be quiet. Just be quiet.
Okay, bye.
Well, wasn't that fun?
Great.
I'm glad you enjoyed or maybe didn't enjoy that game. Hey, we haven't even talked about it a little bit.
Who's to say?
But it's time for question 2 now. Let me just adjust my hat. I wouldn't want that falling off.
You did really well.
Thank you, Melody. This comes from John Cook. Happy holidays, BAP. Holiday-related question. Over the years, what has been your favourite/most memorable video game or video game-related gift that you have received? For me, it would have to be the N64 with Mario Kart and Mario 64 I got from my grandparents, who I share many fond memories with, not just for receiving a pretty expensive gift. This was my first console and started me on this lifelong video game journey. Love all of you guys and your content. Keep it up and happy holidays. Jonathan Cook. Thank you, John.
so much, Jonathan. Thank you.
Probably the most significant for me would be the PS1 I was gifted at a certain age at a certain time of year. I don't remember specifically when I got it. I don't know why, because it's, I was really excited to get one. So, but because I don't actually remember that moment, it probably doesn't really answer the question. But it was a significant thing because it set me on the path that I'm on now. But in terms of memorable ones, really 3 come to mind. So I'll just rattle through them because I don't know which is probably the more memorable than the others. But I received a copy of, I got a PS2 with a copy of Tekken Tag Tournament for Christmas once. I was a very lucky boy to get a PS2 for Christmas. And I remember, I think on Christmas morning, I unwrapped it, and then a load of my family were going to come over for Christmas lunch. And while we were waiting for them to arrive, I went upstairs, I hooked it up, and I sat there playing Tekken Tag. And my mind was blown. And I had a giant box of wine gums next to me. Nice. And I was just like shoveling them in my mouth like handfuls. And still to this day, if I eat several wine gums in my mouth all at once, it makes me think of Tekken Tag.
Transports you right back.
Yeah, it still does.
Pavlov's wine gums.
Exactly. It's just like that. I also have quite a vivid memory of receiving Resident Evil 4, a steelbook version, which I still have. I didn't know that game even existed. I was aware of the franchise, but I just knew that it was like, those were those creepy games on PS1 with the slightly freaky, weird graphics. And that was the extent of my knowledge. And then out of nowhere, I think it was Peter's Gamer Uncle trademark gave me a copy of that for Christmas. And I was like, oh, wow, what's this? And it was, in this cool case. And that still to this day, I feel is one of the best games I've ever played in terms of quality. It's just one of the greatest games of all time. And to receive this, not just a copy of it, but a special fancy copy in a special case was pretty cool. And I remember in the aftermath of that Christmas, my grandma stayed a while at our house, and she was staying in what was my bedroom. That was sort of the guest room when we had guests, and I had to sleep on the sofa bed downstairs. And so I one day was upstairs playing Resident Evil 4 in what was her room, because I had a little TV in there, and she was doing some ironing behind me. And there's a bit early on in the game, maybe I'd either restarted or only just started playing it, but it's in one of the first cutscenes. Leon's police escort that drops him off in the village gets knocked off a bridge in their car, and they die, and he's watching out the window, and then he turns around and says to himself, flip, like that, but a bad word. And my grandma was just behind me, and she went, oh no, like that. I was like, oh, sorry, Grandma, I didn't know he was going to say that. It must have been as soon as I started the game, actually. But yeah, I don't think there is a third one. I think the third one was me. I was going to say it would have been my PS1 that I don't remember getting. Oh no, that's what it was. It's the copy of Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance that I played before Christmas Day.
Excellent. The one you cheated at.
Yeah, I found it hidden away in my parents' room, played it while they were out, and then put it back.
So bad.
And then unwrapped it on Christmas Day.
Yeah, I did, but I don't specifically remember. I don't even remember receiving that and opening it, because all the excitement happened several days beforehand. So I don't have a memory of opening that either. But yeah, those are a few from me. Ashton.
I have a few also. I remember getting my pink DS Lite for Christmas one year with
Ben's pink DS Lite.
No,
I've got a Game Boy Advance SP.
And the DS is still in the house.
The DS will be mine at some point, just so you know.
It's only a matter of time. Yeah, the pink DS Lite that I had. That I also got a cracked card that had a bunch of games on it.
R4 card, baby.
An R4
Let's
card.
go.
Yeah, I had one of those. And I remember just being like, oh my God, there's so many games on here. And I spent all day playing with just my DS, and my sister was sat next to me playing with her black DS Lite, because we had assigned colours. And I remember we spent all day playing just a bunch of different games, periodically having to go and sit next to the charger because it ran out of charge because we were playing it so much. So much that my mum had to take it off us for Boxing Day when our family came round, because we really just wanted to play that, and she was like, no, we have to speak to your family. The other one is, so I don't know if I told this before, about how one random day my dad came home with a Nintendo Wii. He'd just decided to buy it and came home with it like one random Thursday after school. He was like, I've got your Wii. And we were like, cool.
Yeah.
So that wasn't on a specific holiday. And I remember my mum being like, why have you done this? Why have you bought this? But that Christmas we got, and I can't remember if this is the name of it, but this is basically what it was. Just Dance on Broadway, where it was basically Just Dance, but it was all musical theatre songs and stuff. And me and my mum, my sister, and my aunties and my auntie and my cousins, who are all girls, basically spent all day playing this game just on and off. And then my mum would get so mad because we figured out, us young'uns, if you just shake your arm around, done it.
Yeah.
She's there going full like Charlie Chaplin. No, not Charlie Chaplin. That's not what I was looking for.
Fred Astaire.
Fred Astaire, thank you. And I'm just shaking my wrist around and I'm getting at every point. And she was like, no, you're not playing it properly. And I remember her getting quite annoyed. But then my mum and my auntie, after like a bottle of wine, just going for it, doing like Joseph in his Technicolor Dreamcoat and having the best time. So yeah, I remember that game quite fondly. And we also, every Christmas Eve, we go around to a friend's house and all the parents would get quite tipsy and all the kids would be hopped up on sugar watching the Santa, Where is Santa like website. And we'd all play SingStar until the early hours of the morning and then all have to go home. So every night we'd finish it with a bit of Take That.
Yeah.
Never forget where you're coming from. Every single Christmas Eve since was a kid. And even now, yeah, they come around to our house now, though, so we don't play SingStar as much.
What are you going to do this year?
I might have to be like, hey, can we all come to your house and play SingStar again, please? But yeah, that was always good. It wasn't even just on the holidays. Every time we were around their house, it would end with SingStar, but specifically on Christmas Eve.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I've got a few. I think I've spoken about a couple of these before, but absolutely when I got my teal Game Boy Color and a copy of Pokemon Blue in the late 90s, that was a real turning point for me. And then, of course, there was when I got the PS1 from Father Christmas and it came in like a battered box.
I don't understand why you're doing that.
Father Christmas.
Yeah, why are you doing?
Well, as you're about to find out, this one wasn't actually from the real Father Christmas.
Right.
It was from my
because
parents.
He is real.
He did come that year, but
He
it
did,
was
but
actually-
that was from someone
this
else.
wasn't as I'm about to describe. You'll see what I mean.
Yeah.
So it came in like a battered box, like wrapped in brown parcel tape, and I ripped it open. There was a PlayStation in there, and several games. And I remember my dad or my mum very clearly saying, "Oh, I think Father Christmas has made a mistake there." As he was pulling out copies of GTA and some other like really violent
Resident Evil.
PS1 games. Like we'll go and trade these in. So then we went to Electronics Boutique, went to the bargain bin, and my mum was like, "This one looks quite good," and it was Final Fantasy VII. So that was pretty.
The
awesome.
origin story.
The origin story there, because Father Christmas didn't check what was inside the box first. And more recently than that, actually, your wine gum anecdote made me think of this one. I think I got This Is Football on PS1 one year, and I discovered, because I wasn't good at it, that if you turned off fouls, you could just slide tackle the goalkeepers when they held the ball, and that's how I scored goals. But I remember sitting there playing This Is Football on PS1 with a bar of Galaxy chocolate. I remember that. But more recently, we're talking like 4-5 years ago now, I got a copy of Pokemon Sun, or I asked for it for Christmas, because I suddenly had like a real urge to play a Pokemon game again. And Sun and Moon had just come out and they looked pretty good. And I had a 3DS, which I had bought for the digital re-releases of Pokemon Blue, like a year or so prior. And I remember going under the tree, because part of my reasoning was I can play, while everyone's opening their presents, I can actually just play this and still be in the room, and I can play it on the handheld, and that's fine.
This was 4 years ago.
I was a grown-ass man. And I was like, is it under here? Yes, that is clearly a 3DS box. And I sort of just put it slightly closer to the front so I could play Pokemon Sun like as soon as possible.
Right.
Not that I didn't want to be involved in the day, of course, and the festivities, but I just thought, listen, if I get it's there, and it would be a waste if I opened it later on because I'm just going to be twiddling my thumbs when I could be twiddling my thumbs playing Pokemon Sun. So there we are. There's a few for you about what an adult I am.
Yeah.
How grown up I am.
Mum, please don't talk to me. I'm playing my Pokemans.
I'm playing Pokemans. And she said, that's a bit weird. And I said, why? And she said, oh, it's actually time for weird news.
Oh.
It's weird news time. Time for some weird video game news. If you follow us on social media platforms, at the beginning of the week, we put up a post asking for weird news, and you can submit it and get a shout out here as we read your weird news, what you submitted.
Yeah.
However, if you would like a guaranteed shout out at this point, you go to patreon.com/Team TripleJump, support us at a certain tier, and become a podcast producer. Here are the podcast producers this week.
Nathan.
GY Goliath.
Nexus Polaris.
Walco.
Nicole Hansen.
LA Nicholas.
Erica Hutchinson.
Melody Elbonet.
Katie Garrett.
And Gabrielle Philipping.
Thanks,
Thank you,
podcast
podcast
producers.
producers. Peter, what weird news have you got this week?
Thank you, podcast producers. I've
Thank
got
you.
some weird news here that was submitted by It's Cold in New Mexico at Ariel Kent on Twitter.
It's cold in Newcastle as well.
It
It is pretty
yeah.
chilly.
Ariel_Kent on Twitter. This is according to Kotaku. It's written by Ashley Barden, who says, the Callisto Protocol director blames launch issues on, quote, a damn clerical error.
Hey,
he's a damn clerical error.
Forget about it. This isn't like super weird news, but it is,
I love that man.
Yeah, Glenn's great.
but it's what we've seen before of, people, developers and publishers having minor meltdowns on social media. So
Love it.
Subheading, but despite the error, Dead Space creator and Striking Distance Studio CEO Glenn Schofield needs Twitter to chill.
Yeah, Twitter has been going
Yeah,
off,
they
hasn't
do
it,
need to
about
chill.
Callisto Protocol.
That's just every day, though.
Yes.
Aggrieved Steam reviewers are likely enough indication that the Callisto Protocol has been having a pretty painful opening week. However, if you couldn't tell from the choral cries of unplayable PC performance and console bugs, game director and Striking Distance Studio CEO Glenn Schofield confirms it himself in a series of Twitter replies. Yes, his aspiration to blow his iconic Dead Space series out of the sky had some holes in it, some stuttering and crashing, but he maintains that those issues come from, quote, a damn clerical error. A wrong file was patched, Schofield clarifies in another Twitter reply. Just freaking error by someone rushing.
I would not want to be in that
Why
studio.
were they
when-
rushing, I guess,
When
Glenn?
when Glenn's angry.
Oh my God,
Yeah.
yeah.
Imagine him cross.
Eating a cannoli and so angry.
There's then a embedded tweet where he says, being fixed, a wrong file was patched, any minute, just freaking error by someone rushing. Rushing brings to mind Schofield's previous admission about him and his team working extreme overtime. Quote, exhaustion, tired, COVID, but we're working, he said. Lunch, dinner, working. You do it 'cause you love it.
No.
About which he later apologized to employees for glorifying such practices. Yet Schofield's Twitter trolls seem to be calling for more of it, demanding fast fixes and their money back. Striking Distance did not immediately return Kotaku's request for comment. They could end up being satisfied. So, oh no, the hat came off.
Quick, get the knife. She's not in. She's in. Okay, she's fine now. Bless you.
Sorry. That will not be the last sneeze, so the hat might be going flying
Yeah, that's
a few
true.
more times.
She never sneezes once, is
No.
from the laws of the universe.
Yeah.
They could end up being satisfied, sort of. Striking Distance Studios released patches aiming to improve PC stuttering and frame rate issues on Xbox Series X/S, and while fans are still disgruntled with ray tracing, they can at least rest assured that they have developers once again in overtime. Oh, it's not over.
That was the quietest sneeze.
You still rolled the hat to me there. I'll take vacation when it's fixed, Schofield said on Twitter. The fans are my priority.
Okay.
His
What
wife
about
and
your
children
staff?
are like,
yeah, and your...
hey.
Yeah.
Hey, Glenn.
Game development crunch can be a chicken or an egg in this way, either born from pressure or from responding to it. And the article goes on basically about crunch. Being mean, cynical, and acting like you know me isn't making it go any quicker, Schofield said. I'd ask for patience and understanding as we fix this issue. We aren't happy about it either. There you go.
The game should not have been released in a state where it needed loads of patches to fix stuttering and things, obviously, but it shouldn't. The fixes shouldn't come at the expense of, bless you, of the studio's well-being.
Yeah, absolutely not.
A damn clerical error.
There's
Ashton,
somebody rushing.
If you're able to speak, would you like to give us some weird news?
I am. It comes
Random.
It comes from Ed Hewick, and Snowboy Yanio4 on Twitter. I'm going to be sniffing. Deal with it. Comes from Nintendo Life, written by Ollie Reynolds. Random! Pokemon Scarlet and Violet players are seeing disembodied heads. Don't look now.
Good.
Okay.
Good stuff.
We've discussed the glitches seen in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet at length here at Nintendo Life, and while the novelty has largely worn off for many, we simply had to share this one. As reported by folks over at Automaton, it seems that some players are starting to see disembodied heads floating through the world when taking part in specific battles at the entrance to Naranja/Uva Academy. It apparently occurs when an NPC walks directly through the Pokemon during the middle of a battle, as you do, with the majority of the body disappearing to leave the head floating through space. For context, that's what it looks
that's
like.
horrible.
Oh,
that's
sorry.
way worse than I thought.
Oh God, that's
Yeah.
It's
not
got-
just a disembodied head.
Haunting.
It's just a face with
With
no
no
eyes,
eyes.
No
no
eyeballs.
mouth, just
No.
no features, just sort of a mask of
Yeah.
a human. Ugh.
In some instances, the entirety of the head can be seen, while in others, key elements like eyes and hair also disappear, leaving something that Michael Myers or Leatherface would be absolutely chuffed to find out in the wild.
Yeah, yeah.
The image above adequately demonstrates the bizarre phenomenon, but multiple users have also taken videos of the glitch showing the head itself floating towards the player's
No.
Pokemon.
No.
And then this is a video of it happening, apparently. Just the head.
Oh,
no.
God, okay, that's a full head.
Oh.
Oh, yeah, that's really scary. I don't like
Horrible.
it.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Of course, many NPCs like to stroll their way into the middle of battles throughout the land of Paldea, but it appears that only this specific battle results in this bizarre floating head phenomenon. Automaton theorizes that Game Freak had intended for the NPC to disappear entirely, but due to a processing bug, the head has somehow remained. We'd fully expect this to be patched in a future update. Pretty terrifying though, right? Yeah, I mean, that one, the picture of it is quite
The
haunting.
picture's horrible.
It's really
I'm
awful.
gutted that I've not experienced any of these things because they're so good. But, there we are. My weird news comes courtesy of Connor Mulcahy, or Mulcahy at Conroy_milk, and Connor Bennett at CBennett_12 on Twitter. Thank you very much. This is Kotaku. It's Luke Blunkett. He's back. World Cup player gets gaming setup shipped to Qatar so he can play Fortnite.
Fair enough.
Look at the commitment, Peter. Huh? Why are
he's
you not
got mad
shipping your
money.
Fortnite
Yeah,
loadout
to
to your family
parents'
home?
house at
Yeah.
Christmas.
It's not like you got to get on a
What's your
plane or
excuse?
anything.
It's not
Yeah.
like you're not a millionaire.
Yeah.
No.
Come on. England goalkeeper Jordan Pickford has
Angriest man on the planet.
has he?
Yeah, if he ever has to do his job and catch a ball, he like screams at everyone
Gets
else on
really
the pitch.
cross.
Like, I think after the Euros, he had to go to anger management because it was starting to become an issue.
Oh, no.
But he's just
Yeah.
the angriest man
Well,
you'll
maybe
ever
it's good
see.
that he's got Fortnite then.
Yeah.
Has made a few handy saves so far at this World Cup, but between waiting around for large parts of a game and then having days between matches. I assume that means as in he's not having to catch balls all the time.
Right,
Yeah.
but he's not playing Fortnite in the goal. is
Yeah,
he?
it's just a weird wording.
On his phone.
And then having days between matches, there's a lot of spare time to fill, which he has duly done by getting an enormous gaming setup shipped over from home. Pickford, who plays his club football for Everton, revealed the power move as part of this promotional interview below, which runs for over 20 minutes, but which I've set to autoplay at the relevant moment. Thank you, Luke. Seems the guy really likes playing Fortnite and has previously taken gaming laptops with him while on national duty so he could play on his off days. But switching...
National duty.
That's what it's called. But switching between those cramped confines and his regular setup had proved too much for the Euro 2021 Golden Glove winner. So for Qatar, he just figured, flip it. It's an actual swear word in here from Luke, and got something more heavy duty shipped over. There you can see him wheeling his case with his initials on it. The monogrammed container it arrived in is indeed a proper bit of kit, it says. Inside, it's still a laptop, but with a custom-built full-size screen included, so that the visual experience on the road matched what he was used to at home. And it just continues.
Shouldn't he be, I don't know, like training?
Yeah, absolutely.
And
it
like,
does say that
know,
the rest of the England team also plays Fortnite with him.
If he lets a goal in at the next game, well, we know what he's not
Should have been playing
doing.
Fortnite.
Should have been practicing, shouldn't he?
Everyone in the France
If we lose to
stand
France,
needs to go and do the
start flossing.
Yeah,
Number one
do
victory, Royale.
do the Fortnite.
It's about to get down. Get down!
Just took out Tomato Town.
2 goals on the board right now.
That is one of my favorite songs to come back
It is
to.
a really good
It's
song.
never not good. What's it called? Chug Jug? Come Chug Jug with you, me, or something?
Yeah.
Google it if you haven't seen it. It's phenomenal
It's
stuff.
brilliant.
It's time for question 3.
It comes from Trake, Chrake. Trake. Hey, Bap, what was the first game, console/system you bought for yourself with your own hard-earned money, and did it live up to expectation? PS3 from Woolworths was mine, and I remember that day very fondly. Have a great day, everybody. Trake.
Thank you, Trake.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Trake.
Trake. So we go from gifted console memories to hard-earned ones.
Yes.
The first console that I ever bought, I think, must have been my Xbox 360 because, as I say, I got my PS2 as a Christmas present and my PS1 as well. So my 360, I remember saving up for a very long time for that. I think it cost me, I think at the time, and this seems very cheap now, but I think at the time it was, you know, pretty high price. It was like 250, 300 quid, something like that. That might be wrong, but I got I think it had been out for a little while at that point, and I was able to get one of those black Elite ones. Or actually, no, I think that's what I bought once my first one got the Red Ring of Death.
Oh, no.
Yeah, possibly. I definitely had a black one, but I think my first one was white. And it came, I got Halo 3 with it. And what else did I get? I'm trying to remember what games I got with it, but certainly Halo 3 is the big, the standout memory. And I basically played that game for the entire time of owning that. You know, I never stopped playing it. I, of course, played many other things along the way. Yeah, I probably got Oblivion as well, actually. Yeah, I will have done. Got Oblivion early on, I think. Yeah, I remember. It's funny when I. Do you know the sort of the smell of like hot console, like sort of hot dust?
Yes.
Well, of course, the Xbox 360 didn't have particularly good like ventilation, and I think that was partly what was causing Red Ring of Death for a lot of people. Is there were like components inside that were getting too hot and then kind of breaking. But I talk about, you know, eating wine gums reminds me of Tekken. If I smell hot dust coming out of a machine of any kind, my PS5 occasionally, because it's a little bit confined in the TV stand that we use, it's sometimes there's a little whiff of hot dust at the end of a long session. And I go, oh yes, Xbox 360. And so, yeah, I think back to that often. So yeah, a 360 was mine with Halo 3.
Amazing.
The first console I bought was PlayStation 4 because I think Kingdom Hearts, the new one, was coming out, and we only had a PlayStation 3 and PC. And I was like, I'm going to be a really good girlfriend, and I'm going to go buy my boyfriend a PlayStation 4. So I went into CEX. I didn't have them. I don't know why I did this. I did not have the money. I just finished uni, and I was working like full time over the summer, saving money for, you know, when I eventually had to get a real job. And I just was like, I'm gonna do it. Off I go. Randomly one day, just bought a PlayStation 4. I was so impulsive with everything I do. And brought it home. Said, I've got you this. And the controller that came with it was like a camo controller. So we were both like, we'll take that back and get another.
Nice. Oh.
Nice.
No, not nice.
Can't see it.
No, I kept losing it. But we played that a lot, and then so much so that we got a second PlayStation 4 about 2 months later, so that we could play together. Again, another impulsive decision. My friend wanted to go in and get a game, and me and Ben were there, and we were like, "What if we just got another PlayStation 4?" I think we actually bought a Pro that time. But yeah, the PlayStation 4 was the first console I bought, and we used it a lot, and then I gave it to my dad, so he has it now. But I used the PlayStation 4 a lot. We played a lot of games on that up until we got a PlayStation 5. So big up PlayStation 4. It also has the best controller in my mind.
In your mind?
Yeah. For me.
For you?
For me.
The first console I would have bought would have been the PSP/PS3. The PSP was one that I sort of associate the purchasing and the pre-ordering of the PSP with really getting into games properly, not just in terms of being passionate about games and wanting to play games, but in terms of like reading magazines and going online and like really trying to understand how the industry worked. So I pre-ordered the PSP, and that was really exciting when that came. And I've still got that PSP. The battery has expanded, as all PSP batteries have done. Don't know if you've seen this.
Yeah.
They sort of billowed out as the years have gone on. But I think it still functions. And I've still got its original box as well. And then the PS3 as well. That was also a pre-order, and I got that from play.com, and it was so expensive, and it took me, I'm so glad it got delayed in Europe, because it took me a very, very long time to save up for that one. And I grew up in a small village, and my friend also pre-ordered one, and the flipping delivery driver just put a cardboard box around the back of my parents' house with both of them in. So his didn't arrive, but I had two PS3s in mine, and one was clearly meant for him. And that PS3, man, I loved that console. I played Resistance: Fall of Man to death, Warhawk, Call of Duty Modern Warfare, and then all the parade of really great exclusives that came out towards the end of the PS3's life cycle as well, the last few years of that. My launch model PS3, I still have it, and that was the one that was backwards compatible with PS1 and PS2 games. And it did actually yellow light of death, which is very similar to the red ring of death, a little less common, but it does happen, and it did happen to me. So then I ended up using a PS3 Slim for the remainder of the time, but I do still have the original one, and full off.
Yeah. I was doing really good until I sneezed, and now it's not quite set correctly.
I ended up giving my fat PS3 to my sister under the pretense that she would get it repaired by just some third-party repair place, and then she could use it for as long as she wanted, basically, until I got it back. So I just swapped it for a PS3 Slim in the end when I stopped using that PS3. So now I've got it back. It's in a display case. It's looking all nice and protected because it's shiny, and it means a lot to me. But yeah, would have been the PSP and the PS3, and they were both very expensive.
I was thinking the other day about when we bought the PS5 and that whole kerfuffle of trying to get a PS5, that we were both meant to be working, and my boyfriend was in a meeting sat next to me, and I was constantly refreshing the Amazon page trying to get it to come up, because we'd been running from one website to the other. And I had to like silently celebrate as I clicked buy now, and I was like, yes. And Ben looked over and he was like, yes. But it was
that was so hard.
I know, it was like
there were rumors,
like a scavenger hunt to try and get one.
After that showcase, there were rumors that they were gonna release the pre-orders that night, and so I stayed up until like 2 a.m. because they did start selling them like randomly on a few sites, and game kept crashing. I did eventually get, I think, like 3 pre-orders locked in before I went to bed, and only one of them ended up coming through because they cancelled the game one. Because there was something like they were selling them too early, basically. So they were just like, all right, clean slate, nobody gets one. So that didn't work, but mine eventually, thankfully, did come through. But out of all of the places I attempted to pre-order, it was like 6 or 7. Only one ended up succeeding. The rest were like, you're on waiting lists.
I was like, I don't think this is it's just gonna be like broken websites and stuff,
Yeah.
like not even being able to refresh or anything.
Even for like 2 weeks after the fact, like every website was just immediately broken.
I just couldn't.
Even when
resist.
I bought my PS5 this year, like the second one, that was almost a faff as well because I had to
we
go
all
through
through Fraser, didn't
Yeah,
we?
Fraser was our hookup. He was like, just so everyone knows, Very are currently selling it right now.
I think that's what happened to me. Like, I think so. The day after, then I was like, okay, I maybe need to start looking at getting one. And then I was sort of struggling. I was like, I gave up pretty quickly. I was like, well, for now, I'm just gonna have to wait. And then I think like 2 days later, I got a tip off from someone that some website seemed to have some, and I went on there, got a ticket for the queue, and just got one. So I didn't really struggle that much, but I could have struggled if I'd spent those 2 days trying to find one and being disappointed. It's just that I thought, just going to leave it and hope that it falls into my lap, and it did. So
that is very fortunate.
Yeah.
But it was a hell of a time. Everybody will be able to commiserate with that, I'm sure, and connect with that. And regardless of what you pre-ordered, it was a flipping colossal pain in the ass.
Yeah, pretty
really,
much.
really poorly organized.
I think the Xbox that I was talking about there, I think that was the first thing I ever bought on Amazon. I think I made an Amazon account to buy that.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's fun.
Cute.
Well, it's time to move on to something rather large. And Peter, you're going to disappear temporarily, but we'll see you again for the outro.
And I think it's time we change clothes, don't you?
I'll probably be wearing this jumper again.
I think it's time that I change clothes.
Ashton's going to
don't
change
you?
clothes and move around the desk
You may or may not be wearing the hat. Who's to say?
Who's to say?
I don't know, but it is time for the big discussion. It's big discussion time for the big video game discussion. Peter Austin is gone. The Christmas tree looks a little bit different because I dropped it on the floor and I broke all of its feet. So thank you to Sam and Dan from Cultaholic who helped us sort of MacGyver. I'm not going to touch it.
No.
This solution that you may not be able to see, it's now in sort of a pen pot stuffed with paper to keep it upright.
It is a TripleJump pen pot though, or at least it's got a TripleJump band around it.
Yeah, it's got a TripleJump band around it, so we like it.
Yeah.
We are just, at the time of recording, 5, 6, 7-ish hours removed from the end of the Game Awards. We're both on about 3 hours sleep.
Feeling great.
Feeling awesome.
So good.
We are going to answer a question, actually, that I didn't even make a note of because
That's okay.
you sent it to me.
I sent it to you.
Can you find it?
Yeah, it comes from Cameron Keywood.
There we go.
For the big discussion. I hope you enjoyed Jeff's December Jamboree. And what were your overall thoughts on the announcement and winners? Cameron J. Keywood.
Thank you, Cameron.
Thank you, Cameron.
So, yeah, we're just going to run through sort of some of the highlights in terms of, because it was chock full of really
Of stuff.
bizarre moments.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about a few of those. We're going to shout out honorable mentions, like all the really big things that were shown that we aren't then going to be counting down in our individual 5 favorites of the show. So
3-part response to the question.
3-part response of the show. Firstly, I would like to ask you, Ashton, generally, what did you think of the Game Awards this year?
In terms of the actual awards, I thought it was pretty good spread overall. I think that obviously God of War swept 7 or 8 of the
God
things?
of War won 6.
6.
And Elden Ring won 4, including Game of the Year.
Yeah. And I was a bit sad that Horizon didn't win any. I think it did deserve to win one. I think its art design was really good, and I do think it should have won that. But, hey, we're not going to get upset about it.
We move because we may or may not have some Horizon announcements, which is pretty exciting.
Exactly. But in terms of the actual show, once again, chock full of just guff, isn't it?
Yeah.
Just guff.
Awful lot of advertising, some
So
really
much
weird
moments
going on.
Like
there.
at one point, Animal from the Muppets was presenting an award.
Yeah.
Why?
And just yelling. And the camera was cut sort of obviously so you couldn't see the puppeteer, but the animal was on stage, so presumably the entire audience could just see a man
Lying on the floor.
puppeting animal.
Yeah.
It was flipping bizarre. We'll run through those in a second.
Yeah.
Personally, I thought this was actually one of the stronger Game Awards, especially when I'm looking through the list of the big announcements. There's so many really big games that were not only shown that we were already aware of, but announced. I think in terms of headlines, this is probably one of the stronger shows.
And a bunch of them had release dates in the next year.
Yes.
Either confirmed release dates or coming, winter or spring or something. So
a few were announced that are coming out in the next few months,
Yeah.
which is the right way to do it.
Yes.
Pretty cool. So let's run through some of the stranger moments.
yes, let's.
Firstly, we've got he wheeled out Al Pacino, seemingly for no reason whatsoever. And bless him, he couldn't read the auto.
He couldn't read the teleprompter.
And he did come clean about that. I was like, I'm really struggling to read the auto.
Yeah, but then
he kept going.
After he got past the initial kind of like thing, I think he just started talking and he was like just doing his own thing.
Yeah, he was.
But as soon as it got to the nominees, he went, and the nominees, and it just cut him off and played the VT.
And you could just hear as it was playing.
It was so
the
random,
package.
so weird. I don't know why he was there, but bless him. I felt so bad for him.
So did I.
Because then he had to stand there for 15 minutes while Christopher Judge.
That was the next
did
weird
his
point I've got.
entire-
Christopher Judge won Best Performance for his role of Kratos.
As he should have.
Which is deserved, and we've got all the time in the world for Christopher Judge because he seems like a genuinely lovely man.
And it's lucky we do have all of the time in the world because...
Well, Jeff didn't. The speech went on for 15 minutes,
Yeah.
and he was then played off with music,
Yeah.
and he didn't get a chance to finish his speech. He had to finish it on Twitter,
Yeah.
and for the rest of the night, everyone was snidely taking the piss out of the fact that there was a long speech at the start, which is kind
it
of
was kind
a
of
dick
mean.
move, isn't it?
Yeah, because he was really emotional. And obviously we were also a bit like, come on, wrap it up, babe.
Yeah.
We weren't going to say it to his face,
No.
but they did.
We were aware that, that it's a live production and he was taking a long time, but equally, he deserves to be able to talk for as long as he wants.
Yeah.
But the fact that everyone then clowned on him for the rest of the night was
Yeah.
like, what is going on? Come on.
What's this energy, gang?
This is the best video game performer of the year,
Yeah.
according to this award.
Yeah.
Can
According
you-
to Al Pacino.
Anyway, so that was bizarre.
Yeah.
The real sort of madness started to set in when there was a Crash Bandicoot game announced that Peter has been talking about for a long time, that's been rumored, and someone in a Crash Bandicoot mascot outfit
Got like
slowly
repelled from the
descended
roof.
from the ceiling. We were just couldn't handle it at that point.
No, it was like already at this point 2:30 in the morning, almost 3 a.m., if not already 3 a.m. And Crash Bandicoot, as a man, comes down from
with
the
a
roof
voice,
with a voice.
just a normal man's
It's just
voice.
talking, clearly like some, pre-recorded voice lines. Then he phone calls his friends, which are just like all the
Villains from
characters
Crash Bandicoot.
on the screen. But it's like he's holding a phone up to his ear, but you can clearly see that this is like a Zoom background. So what are we trying to go for here, gang? And then no one answers, and he goes, fine, the silent treatment, I'll do it myself. More one fruit for me. And then they announce the game.
Everyone has to
Why?
have their own bizarre little skit, and it's just sort of.
And they never
I appreciate
land.
the pageantry, but can we get on with it?
Yeah.
Please. That was bad.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the Irish gangster.
Oh, this guy. So what's the other guy's name? Michael something or other?
Can't remember.
Some guy who is actually famous, I think. He's an actor, I think. Comes out with these two guys, either side, in suits and sunglasses. One of the guys fluffs up his line immediately, but he gets through it. Has to do it again, but he gets through it. The other guy...
He's sort of flanked, but they're like his heavies,
Yeah,
his
yeah,
bodyguards.
yeah.
They're wearing suits and
Yeah.
sunglasses.
The other guy brings the microphone up to his mouth, and everyone's like, what's this guy going to say? What's happening? And he starts talking in one of the worst Irish accents I've ever heard.
I think he was trying to do sort of a Conor McGregor sort of.
kind of like gangster vibes, and he was so proud of himself for the rest of the time he was on stage. He was
incredibly
so
proud.
smug,
Yeah.
and it was just why are we doing that again, guys? Please.
Yeah. Animal from the Muppets, of course, talked about that one. The most bizarre moment of the night goes to the very end when From Software bigwig Hidetaka Miyazaki and his translator and a couple of other fellas went up on stage to accept the Game of the Year award. They were followed up by a young boy who I didn't even notice was there, to be
No, I
honest.
didn't.
And apparently nobody else did either. This little boy was not meant to be there.
To be
And-
clear, he wasn't a little boy. He was just a young man.
Okay,
but
young
he
man.
was a small man.
Small young man, tiny boy. Once everyone was done, he came back to the microphone and he said, and I quote, "I think I want to nominate this award to my Reformed Orthodox Rabbi Bill Clinton."
Yeah.
Right.
It's
So
imagine it.
I
It's
didn't-
4:00 in the morning.
I didn't hear this because I wasn't thinking anything about it. I was really tired and I was also quite drunk. You
Me
and
and Peter heard it.
heard Bill Clinton.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Did he say Bill Clinton?" And I was like, "There's no way someone who's representing
We
From
were just
Software
like-
just said Bill Clinton in their
Yeah,
acceptance
the way we
speech."
were sleep deprived. Me and Ben had a few drinks. Peter was just sleep deprived. And we were just like, he definitely just said Bill Clinton. And Ben was like, no,
There's
he
no
didn't.
way. Anyway, we wake up. Bill Clinton is trending on
Yeah.
gaming Twitter, and it turns out that this tiny baby boy
baby boy man
was not meant to be on the stage and was immediately arrested
Yeah.
straight afterwards. And that's where the Game Awards ended.
Yeah.
Was on that bizarre Rabbi Bill Clinton line that completely sent all of us because it just didn't make any sense.
No.
By that point, we just assumed that the Game Awards was such a tightly orchestrated thing that this sort of occurrence couldn't happen. So clearly it was intentional that someone wants to thank their Reformed Orthodox rabbi, Bill Clinton, and that was so confusing. It did not seem like it could have
Baffling.
possibly happened.
Yeah.
But those are the cringe moments in
But there was another
otherwise-
cringe moment.
Oh, was there?
Before the Mario trailer, with is it Keegan?
Oh,
Yeah.
Keegan-Michael Key
Where
was
he
on stage.
he did a thing about it's not actually a hat on Toad, it's a cap because mushrooms have caps. And what's another word for a hat? Cap.
Yeah, he did
And
this
the
whole
audience,
thing.
along with I think everyone at home, just went.
I refuse to believe that he wrote that. I
No.
feel like that must have, because I love him, and I
Yeah.
feel like that must have been given to him, and it was rotten material.
Yeah.
Also, as the night went on and the camera panned across the audience, there were more and more empty seats. 'Cause I
Yeah,
think
people
were
were
like,
just
I'm just so
disappearing."
tired, I'm going to go home. And it's only like 8 p.m. there.
Yeah.
Either way, though, those were the cringe moments in what I think otherwise was a very strong show. There was some great musical performances. There were lots of great debuts for all sorts of games that I'd never heard of before. We're going to shout out now the big ones that, as I said, are not featuring in our top 5 because we'll talk more about those in detail in a second. But there were also loads of other stuff announced there too that you should go check out when you get the
Yeah.
chance. So, Returnal's coming to PC.
Yes.
That's great. Hellboy Web of Weird. That's sort of like a cel-shaded
Yeah.
bash'em.
Yeah. A
That's
bash'em.
not a genre.
A
of game.
bash'em up.
A bash'em up, as you know. Bayonetta Origins, Cereza and the Lost Demon, which
A
is
real disconnect from the other Bayonetta games.
it's a prequel.
It's a prequel.
And the art style's really sort of chibi and
Yeah.
kind of cool looking.
Colourful
It's,
and pretty neat.
real spin-off. Jedi Survivor, which was confirmed to be there, that we saw some gameplay of. You've got
Yeah.
Cal doing sort of lightsaber stuff.
Stuff.
There's some sort of Jedi or maybe Sith who's been betrayed that he rescues, or
Yeah.
he seemingly setting up this person to be an antagonist anyway. They introduced that with a real person in a Bacta tank on stage. Not for very long, mind.
I don't know if it was a real person. I think it was a model.
A mummy.
A mummy.
A mummy in
Yeah.
there.
And
But
then
it was
afterwards,
it
the
was
guy
only on
came
stage
out
for
with
like a second. though.
Yeah, it was. We were like,
Which is-
"Oh,
why
what-
did they do
What
that?"
is that?" And then they were just like,
away.
close the door."
Yeah, you don't get
Here's
to
the
see the Bacta
trailer.
tank anymore.
No.
Christopher Judge ruined it. We were
Yeah.
going to have lights.
Yeah,
He was going to come out and
He-
kill a few
he
audience
was alive
members.
in there. Yeah, exactly.
Really bizarre.
Yeah, weird.
But and then the actor who plays Cal Kestis
Yeah,
came out on
came out and
stage.
talked about
And he
something.
said,
for
"May
a
the
minute.
force be with you," and everyone went, "Yeah, set the line." Death Stranding 2 is real. It exists.
Yeah.
It's coming.
Yeah,
Get ready.
prepare yourself.
Tekken 8, we knew that was going to be there because we got a shirt this week that said
Save
the
Fed 8
hashtag save Thed8, the date.
Yeah.
With a number 8.
because it's Tekken 8.
'Cause it's
and
Tekken.
yesterday was December 8th, and
Yeah.
the date is spelled D8 phonetically.
That's really clever.
So
Keegan
clever.
Michael Key. So
Came
good.
up with that.
It's your
Yeah,
tight
so good.
5
Yeah.
for the stand-up open mic. Baldur's Gate 3 was announced. That was
Mm-hmm.
pretty cool. Crash Team Rumble is the game that has been rumored for flipping ages. Peter, I think, has predicted it in E3 predictions like twice now
Yeah.
because that's been in development for a long old time. That's seemingly some sort of competitive multiplayer game where you play as various Crash people and a new one. Did he say Catbat or Batcat?
Yeah,
or
something like that.
New character. Peter would know, but he's
not in.
asleep.
Yeah.
And good for him.
Good for him.
That's the right decision. Cyberpunk 2077's Phantom Liberty expansion. We saw some gameplay from that, as well as, I think, is it implied that you play as this person in the expansion?
Well, it's not really clear. We didn't really know that from the trailer when they first announced they were doing this DLC, that we couldn't figure out if we were playing as our character or not. But Idris Elba is lending his likeness and his voice, so which makes me think we won't play as him. He'll be like a
He's
side
probably a
character
principal
because if you can
character.
see him, yeah.
Yeah, so that was pretty cool. Idris Elba in Cyberpunk.
Yeah.
And finally, the biggest sort of bait and switch of the night, for me at least, Armored Core 6, Fires of Rubicon. Jeff really hyped this one up. He
Yeah.
said they're one of the biggest studios in the world. They've chosen here to announce it, and then it said From Software, and it was talking
Bandai
about
Namco, From Software.
it's talking about
from
cinders,
the cinders.
and like embers, the imagery on the
And it
screen
looked-
of like little sparks and stuff.
It looked all futuristic and stuff.
Yeah.
And we were like,
What is this?
what is this?
Interesting.
Is
Could it
this a
be-
new Dark Souls?
could
Are
it
they
be
doing
Dark
a
Souls?
future version of it?
No, it's Armored Core, which is,
Core.
Armored Core has its fans, but man, they really got me there.
Really
I
upset by
I really thought they were building up to a Dark Souls announcement of some kind, but no.
No.
I am interested in seeing modern From Software working on an Armored Core game and what that looks like, but mechs don't do anything for me at all. So wish you all the best, mech fans. Enjoy that one. But as we
Big
said,
up Robo Boys.
big up the Robo Boys, but as we said, there's loads of other announcements as well. We're going to run through our top fives now, but there will be additional ones that you might not be aware of. So go watch the trailers and watch the full show if you want to just lose your mind.
Yeah.
'cause
Why
it's
not watch
mental.
our reactions to it at
Yes,
the same
it's on the
time on
Vods
your
channel.
other screen, so you can lose your minds in real time with us.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Ashton, what's your number 5?
My number 5. Oh, I haven't done it in like.
Okay,
things I'm least
what's the
excited-
first game you want to talk about?
Okay. I was a bit of a twofer. We got another look at Call of the Mountains, the PSVR 2 title for Horizon.
Yeah.
We got to look at some combat and some gameplay. I think it's going to be a really good game. I hope, and the combat looks really good. I think in general they seem to have nailed down the VR aspect of that game, so it's quite exciting. I won't be playing it until they put it on another device though, because I can't afford a PlayStation VR 2.
Oh man, I think you're going to be waiting a while.
I think I'm waiting a really long while.
A little while for that one to be ported.
Yeah. And also, very exciting for me, Horizon Forbidden West is getting a DLC called Burning Shores, which is set in Hollywood.
Yeah, you see the Hollywood sign.
Yeah, I'm really excited for that. We saw a couple of the like big, I can't remember what they're called. I want to call them the Leviathans, but that's not what they're called. Like big mechs that have been terraforming the world before it all happened. So I'm excited for that, and can't wait. It's coming in April, so we've not got long to wait for that.
That's really soon.
So more.
It's April.
More
That's
Aloy
4
for me.
months.
Yeah.
That's so close.
Hey, my wife's back. So I'm really excited for that. At least they didn't win any awards, but at least they won my heart.
Yes, and you're getting some more Horizons soon,
Yes,
which
I'm
is great.
pretty happy about that.
My number, well, I've numbered it, but my first game I'm going to talk about is Remnant 2. I played Remnant from the Ashes, I think last year. I talked about it on this podcast at the time, played through the game in co-op. It's a Souls-like, but with guns. It's very AA. It's a bit janky and clunky, but I largely enjoyed myself with that game. And I think the fact that it had co-op carried that experience. I think it's what a lot of Souls likes that I can't get into are missing is that sort of co-op experience, that multiplayer experience to really sort of, because if you're making a From Software game, style game, a Souls like, you're boxing with God, right?
Yeah.
You've got to give yourself a fighting chance. There's no way that you're going to be able to make a game that is as good in that genre as From Software can make it. So why not necessarily embrace the jank, embrace the things where you perhaps don't have the production value that From Software can afford to put in there, and the finesse, by allowing people to experience it with a friend.
Yeah.
Because that really made the difference for me in Remnant 1.
You need something that sets you apart from just every other.
Well, exactly.
Souls.
And I think co-op makes things fun.
Yeah.
Like, you wouldn't have played through Saints Row on your own, but in co-op...
Maybe I would have.
Favorite game. But it does make all the difference. So Remnant 2, that's a bit of a surprise one for me. I probably will play that.
Nice. Well, if we're going with the things that I'm least... I don't know much about yet. I'm going to do another twofer. I'm cheating. I've got like 7 on here. We've got Banisher's Ghosts of New Eden, which we don't know if we saw. I can't remember if we saw any gameplay. I think it was just a couple of brief moments of cutscene and a couple of bits of gameplay, which is seemingly set in Yorkshire, which is quite exciting.
Yeah, the accents are fun.
They were all, pretty exciting. They looked really good and looked really interesting in terms of the premise. So see what comes out of that. And also, after that weird sketch with the Irishman, we had crime boss Rock-A City, which it looks like a GTA.
He has like a sandbox crime game.
Vanilla Ice is in it.
The cast is mental.
Chuck Norris,
Vanilla Ice, other people, famous people are in it.
So other famous folks.
I can't remember. They didn't really show any gameplay?
No, we just got like, here's who's in it.
Yeah.
This
and it's
guy.
out soon as well. So I
Yeah.
don't know the ins and
March,
outs of
wasn't
that.
it, I think,
yeah, and
so-
I'm not even sure who's developing it, to be honest. I can't remember.
no.
I don't know that it's a huge studio. So this is going to be an interesting one
Yeah.
for sure. Time was dedicated to it and they got to do a bad skit.
Yeah.
So clearly they
So
believe in it.
It
to an
wasn't
extent.
just on one of those like, here's 4 in a row. We're just going to watch a bunch of trailers
world
quickly.
premiere.
It was an actual world premiere. Here's a sketch moment. So
Yeah.
I'm intrigued by it. Maybe they've just got a lot of money behind it and it's actually not going to be good. But
Yeah.
hey, we've been burned before.
The only game that's ever made me cry is getting a sequel. It's called Valiant Hearts Coming Home, and it will devastate me, I
Aw.
imagine. The first Valiant Hearts game is set during the Great War, and you play as a few different characters. I think you play as a German soldier who was conscripted, a French soldier who was conscripted. 4 characters. I think a Black American soldier who's like with the French army, I think, and I want to say the daughter of the French soldier who's like working as a nurse in a field hospital or something. It's been a long time since I played it, but that game was like, it's got a beautiful visual style and the music is like really understated, sort of very somber piano. And it really dealt with the subject material very respectfully in a way that while there is some voice acting, it's all presented quite minimalistically, if that's a word.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just, I found it really affecting. And the fact that it's getting another one is really intriguing. And I know it's just going to rip my heart out and stamp on it. So
The thing is, I don't remember that at all from yesterday.
that was in the pre-show.
Oh, was it?
When Flamingo Lady in her fluffy dress was on.
I was distracted by the fluffy dress.
Because I think we had to, for those who haven't watched the VOD or weren't watching live, we were doing a little fundraiser for the channel. When we reached a certain goal, we would stop presenting and we would be replaced by Jeff and 2 of his friends.
Yeah.
And so on came Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, Hideo Kojima, and Jeff Keighley in wonderful, very lifelike masks.
Yeah.
And I think during the chaos and excitement of getting changed, we sort of missed that.
Oh,
But I
okay.
did say, is that Valiant Hearts? That looks like Valiant Hearts. And yes, it was.
It was.
Valiant Hearts Coming Home. New one.
Oh, cool. Hades 2 is coming. I never
Yes.
finished Hades, the first one. I got up until like the second to last boss and then I got distracted by something else. But people love Hades, apart from the voice acting for you anyway. And
Yes.
I'm excited for the second one. It looks like it has a different main character. There's a couple of gods still in it, but it doesn't look like it's the same.
Yeah,
kind of vibe.
The concept's
It's like
not
new
the
characters
same.
and
I
stuff.
haven't rewatched the trailer, so I'm not sure. They probably did
No.
give some foundation
Yeah,
of what's
but-
going on there.
Looks pretty good. People
Yeah.
loved Hades.
People
so
really loved it. That was a Game of the Year award winner for
Yeah.
a lot of people. So exciting.
Yeah.
Number 2. I've also got Suicide Squad Kills the Justice League. We got a
I've got that
Batman
as well.
trailer.
Yeah.
So we can both talk about that now. Apparently, this is the late great Kevin Conroy's last performance as Batman. It's a great trailer where the Suicide Squad are breaking in somewhere, and then all the lights get knocked out by a batarang. Like, oh, it's okay, it's Batman. He doesn't
kill people.
And then a dead guard with his neck snapped gets dumped down on the floor in front of them, and he comes out and says something menacing as Batman. I mean, that game's going to be great. I'm sure Rocksteady don't really miss. And the fact that their 2 leads have now left the studio saying that, well, the game's pretty much done.
Yeah.
And we want to do some other stuff now, I think hopefully means that it's in pretty good shape.
Do you remember if we got a release date for that?
Not sure.
No, I can't remember. I don't know if we did. But yeah, we haven't seen much gameplay. We got a little bit of gameplay this year, I think, earlier at one of the other
It got
events.
delayed. I'll have
But
a quick check.
it did get delayed. I think it was meant to be out this year, but it's been pushed back to next year. But yeah, I mean, I'm really into it. I hope it's co-op. I think we know it's co-op.
Yeah, I believe it
And
is, yeah.
I'm excited to play it. I think it's going to be good. Not really big into the DC, but hey, can't go wrong with Harley Quinn.
I like the Arkham games.
Yeah.
We're currently, apparently, according to Wikipedia, the 26th of May next
Okay.
year.
Cool.
So still a little while.
Mm.
Don't know how close to done it can be. It can be then. If that
Yeah.
was the reason why those guys let. Anyway, doesn't matter. Do you have another one, Ashton?
I do, yes. The last one on my list is Judas, which
I've got that too.
yeah, which is coming from a couple of BioShock developers.
It's
so
Ken Levine,
Yeah,
who's the creative director. A lot of people know Ken Levine and his new studio, Ghost Story Games. They've not
Yeah,
released
Ghost
anything
Story, that
yet.
was the thing,
This
yeah.
was formed after Bioshock Infinite when he left Irrational, and this is their first game, and it looks really cool.
This is like a spiritual successor. Yeah, it looks really interesting. There's seemingly like an asteroid coming to the female character's kind of going to blow her up. And she's like, the only way I can save myself is if I go through you. And there's like a horseman and some cyberpunk looking ladies.
A lot of Art Deco design.
Yeah.
It looks a bit like Rapture in places as well.
There's a lot, it's a lot to look forward to if you're a fan of Bioshock, and I think it's going to be really good. Well, again, I think I'm hoping it's going to be really good.
They've been making it for so long. It's got to be. It's got to be good. Ken Levine, while some people feel indifferent about Bioshock Infinite when compared to the original Bioshock, I think
I really liked Infinite.
I liked Infinite too. I think he's a very special developer, even if he's a bit of a tough character to work with by all accounts. So this will be good.
Did we get a release date for that as well?
Don't know.
I'm gonna.
I think it was just an announcement trailer, but
we
you
got
looked that up.
Fix what you broke at the end. I remember that.
Yes, that was the tagline.
Yeah.
My final one is Final Fantasy 16, which was sort of like another big one that was confirmed to be there. We saw some more gameplay for that. It looked like it was.
Do you mean 16?
What did I say?
15.
16 is what I meant. XVI. Final Fantasy XVI, and it seemed that there were summons fighting each other.
There's no launch date, sorry.
No launch date.
No.
There were summons fighting each other, so that I think there were two Ifrits, or as he called
Ifrit.
it, Ifrit, which I've never heard it referred to as that. So there were two Ifrits fighting each other, which was interesting, because clearly more than one instance of those sort of god-like. The summons are basically, I think, being treated as if they're gods in this game, which is an interesting twist. So looking forward to that one. That'll be good too.
Yeah.
And that's what I've got written down here
that's
for my
everything
personal
for me as
highlights.
well.
There's more stuff announced, as I said. Go check it out. But on the whole, having just spoken about it, the janky, awkward bits were amusing enough to not be terrible, in that we could laugh at them.
Yeah.
And there were so many strong things unveiled that I think I'm confident in saying that's one of the better Game Awards.
Yeah. And I do think that the awards went to the people that we expected them to go to.
Yeah.
I think that people will be happy that Elden Ring won.
Yep.
I think that had it gone to God of War, I think people would have been happy as well, because that game is really good and it cleaned up last night. So yeah, I do think it was a good Game Awards, and I think all in all, we did it.
Hey, we did it, guys.
All in all, we did it.
We did it, guys.
Good for us.
We got to the end.
Yeah.
And now we're going to pass back over to us and Peter
From the past.
for the outro.
Lovely. I'm back.
Wow.
Well done, everyone.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wasn't it good or bad?
Yeah. So glad that game got announced.
I'm beyond excited.
Yes.
Yeah.
Ecstatic.
I mean, I'm probably relatively pleased, because there was Star Wars, I think, is confirmed, and Crash Bandicoot all but confirmed. So I was probably happy.
Probably had a great time.
Yeah.
None of us were tired or grumpy
Yeah,
on
you're
the
probably
stream.
still in bed.
Yeah.
Right, by the time that we've done it.
Yeah,
So,
maybe so.
yeah, we'll
Crash
have had
Bandicoot
3
game might be
hours
rubbish,
sleep,
though.
feeling great.
Yeah.
Who knows? We can't possibly say. However, if you would like to give us feedback or just respond to everything that we've spoken about this week, you can go to various places on the internet. Peter's going to tell you right now.
Yeah, what did you think of the Game Awards?
Get in the comments.
To youtube.com and twitch.tv/Team TripleJump. It's where all of our videos and live streams go out. When we're live streaming on both of those channels, we are modded by Lobrotovich, Trailing Badger, and Mr. Black. If you've got Amazon Prime, maybe to buy an Xbox 360 or something, you can get a free Twitch sub with that. It's just all part of the bundle. So spend that on us if you like. You'll get all the usual benefits, and so will we. But it's no extra cost if you've already got Prime. Twitter.com and Facebook.com/Team TripleJump for video and live stream announcements, legacy video content, bits of news, little bits of polls, and all sorts of rubbish, all put on there by Fraser. Thank you, Fraser, for looking after those. TikTok.com/@Team TripleJump. Ashton's been ticking and or talking.
I have been taking and
It's
talking.
happening. So you should go and follow us on TikTok if you're not doing so already, because there will now be plenty of content, which is very exciting. And patreon.com/Team TripleJump. There are loads of different tiers on there, each with loads of different rewards. So pick your tier and go for it. We're about to record an After Dark, which is one of my favorite things to do. So maybe consider signing up for After Dark if you're not listening to that already.
We have a website, triplej.mup, triplejU.mp. It spells jump. It's very clever. If you'd like to join our Discord, you can go to triplejet.mup/Discord and chat with our wonderful community. On Discord, we're modded by Jack, Joe, Tori, and Hollow Eyes. And if I tell you to do something, bloody well, do it, all right? And stop using that reply function so much. I see you in there.
Whoa.
I know that it annoys Joe, so don't do it.
The reply function.
Yeah. If you want to listen to the podcast in its audio form, why not go to triplejet.mup/podcast? And if you want to check on the live stream VODs, if you missed Peter's live stream from this week, it probably won't be uploaded right now.
It's massive.
Wait till Monday. And you can go to triplejet.mup/VODs to watch it. If you want to book a cameo from any of us for a Christmas present or James Jenkins, you can go to triplejet.mup/cameo. And don't forget about our merch. Here it is, the hat. Here's the bauble. Other such merchies are available: a moog, a hoodie, and a t-shirt in 2 different colours. Want to go to TripleJumpShop.com and make sure you're following at TripleJumpShop on Twitter for the latest merch announcements. And hey, if you get some new merch and you think, I look so sick and cool in this, why not tag us and tag TripleJumpShop on Twitter? Tag everyone. Tag your mum, tag your dog, do it all.
Tell the world.
Tell the world.
This is me that I'm doing so.
Look how sick and cool he looks in his
You
sick
can tell
and cool
he's
merch.
tagging Triple Jump Shop on Twitter as well.
Triple Jump Shop.
There he goes.
He's got it.
Fantastic. Why not follow Peter and Ashton on Instagram and Twitter and Hive?
Yeah, if it would just work. How's your Hive?
I haven't logged into it on my new phone yet.
I've been logging. It just doesn't work for me. The app is just broken. I just get a black screen. I've tried multiple times, but I do when it's working again. I will be hiving.
Cool.
Yeah.
At that Peter Austin and at Scrambled Ashton and myself just on Twitter at confused_dude. I'm also on Hive at confuseddude, no underscore, but I don't post anything, so I wouldn't bother. Lists. We do those every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Streams every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Thursday being the joint stream.
Blaze it.
On YouTube, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday being solo streams on Twitch. Or a reminder that I will also be doing a big long stream over the Christmas break. Is it 28th? Is that when it's in there? 29th of December. A big old stream. Demon's Souls New Game Plus. So come hang out. Worst Games Ever is fortnightly. Friday for patrons of a certain tier. Sunday for everyone else. We do the podcast every Saturday and shows all the flipping time. So many different shows, just like Prove It, which you should go and watch. We were allowed into an actual bar and got to mess around making cocktails. It's a fantastic video. Please watch it and share it around with people. Please
Let us know that you like live action content so that we can make more of it.
Yeah, because if it doesn't perform, then we just don't make it.
Yeah.
And that's sad. So go watch it. Why not leave a 5-star review on your platform of choice? It helps something to do with Al Gore's rhythms and we'd really appreciate it. All sorts of stuff going out this week. New merch, obviously, TripleJumpShop.com. What went wrong with the PlayStation Classic is a fantastic sort of documentary style piece written by the late, great Philip J. Reed and adapted wonderfully by James Jenkins and also edited wonderfully by James Jenkins. Go and watch that. That's live on the channel now. Worst Games Ever is this weekend as well, Peter.
Yes, it's The Mummy, Tomb of the Dragon Emperor. When I read that, I was like, no, it's not, but it's because we filmed that episode about 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
So,
We're way ahead.
Yeah, we did some preemptive episodes. So, God, I barely even remember what that game looks like or goes like.
It's on the Wii.
Probably a really good episode, though.
Oh, yeah, the one on the Wii. Yeah, oh, man, yeah, it was not good. So, yeah, go and check that out.
Ashton.
Yes, Ben.
There's also some other stuff.
Yeah, we've already talked about the Game Awards on this podcast. We have definitely done that already. But if you would like to watch our live reactions from 12 in the morning until 3 a.m., where Ben and I are drinking, and there may have been some special guests on the stream.
Oh,
Maybe.
Why not go to Triple Jump VODs, whatever. TripleJU.MP/VODs to watch us. You have to watch the Game Awards side by side.
I didn't realize you guys were drinking, but I'm driving home, so
I'm going to be drinking.
Yeah,
for sure. I'm
hey,
absolutely.
it's going to be 3 in the morning.
Excellent.
And we were doing something of a little fundraiser for the channel as well. So thank you for everybody for donating to what we've hastily called the Triple Jump Drive 2022.
Yes.
There were some incentives involved in that. So thank you very much for that and your support. Also, yes, Peter's stream. Go watch it on the VODs channel.
Yes, please do.
Finally, the sponsor for this week is once again TripleJumpShop.com. TripleJump.com, there's a whole new wave of merch, and you should buy it because it's great. Limited supply of the baubles if you want one of those, the Billy Ray baubles. And we love you very much. Thank you for listening /watching, and we'll see you next week. Bye, everybody.
Bye.